the 1987 World Series presents Monday Night Baseball. From Yankee Stadium, the Minnesota Twins against the New York Yankees. The Twins feature Kirby Puckett having another big year, second in the league with a .350 average. While the Yankees have risen to the top of the American League East in large measure on the steady shoulders of Dave Winfield. A very pleasant night in New York. Temperature in the low 70s, very low humidity. Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. The crowd still filing in for the first game of a three-game series between the Minnesota Twins and the New York Yankees. And with a week to go before the All-Star break, let's take a look at the standings. The Yankees hot and on top in the East by 5 over Detroit and Toronto. The Blue Jays have dropped 8 in a row. Milwaukee trails by 9. And then comes Boston, Baltimore, and Cleveland. Meanwhile, in the Western Division, this really figures to be a scramble the balance of the way. Kansas City is just percentage points in front of Minnesota. Oakland 2 back. California, Seattle, and Texas still very much in the race at the halfway mark of the season. Hi again, everyone. I'm Al Michaels, and welcome to New York, where a little less than a month ago, it looked as if the Yankees were in some trouble because Toronto had come in. They had swept a three-game series. They had a great deal of momentum. The Yankees were not only 2.5 games back of Toronto, but Don Mattingly was on the disabled list. Ricky Henderson was on the disabled list, and Ron Guidry wasn't yet a factor. But now Guidry is a factor. Henderson and Mattingly are healthy again. Winfield has been hot, and the Yankees are on top by 5. Meanwhile, a look tonight at a most interesting team, the Minnesota Twins. Nobody really figured that the Twins would be serious contenders this year, especially after last season when they had the worst pitching in the major leagues. But among other things, they went out and picked up Jeff Reardon from Montreal. Frank Viola and Bert Blyleven have done nice jobs in the starting rotation. Kirby Puckett's hitting .350. They got the peppery Dan Gladden from San Francisco, and Kent Hrbek's hit 22 home runs. And here are the Twins in a virtual tie for first place in the West. Let me turn now to Jim Palmer. Jim, in your estimation, is Minnesota good enough to win the West?
Well, we go back to 1984. They were 81 and 81, and they finished second. Everybody thought they'd have a great year in 85. They're already 10 games over 500. They are a contender, and I think the reason for that is because of Jeff Reardon. If you're a pitcher, you know you go out there and you give them 7 good innings, you got a Jeff Reardon to come in and save some ball games for you. He did it at Montreal. He can do it again here in Minnesota. They have a team that is underrated defensively. They have a great offense. They're third in the American League in runs scored. So I think the only key, though, is they can't afford to get any injuries. They don't have a lot of depth.
Meanwhile, on the subject of pitching, about 7 innings out of Ron Guidry tonight. They've had a rough time with their rotation of late.
Well, and the irony of the whole thing is that they traded Joe Niekro to Minnesota, the guy that I thought could give them a lot of innings. So Guidry's coming off a shutout, 7 2/3 in Toronto last Tuesday. I look for him to pitch well again. 2
lefties tonight, Ron Guidry and Frank Viola in New York.
Ladies and gentlemen.
ABC's Monday Night Baseball is brought to you by the heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet. By Coors, the beer with a difference worth tasting. Coors is the one. By Century 21, put #1 to work for you. And by Kellogg's Nutri-Grain cereal.
An ABC News Brief brought to you by Arid Extra Dry. Now from Washington, Karen Stone.
Good evening. ABC News has learned that U.S. officials offered an arms for hostages deal to Iran in 1984, a full year before the White House has admitted so far. The White House says President Reagan is interested in hearing what Oliver North has to say when North begins his public testimony before the Iran-Contra Committee tomorrow. There were new demonstrations in South Korea today, touched off by the death of a student protester, even though the government freed 177 political prisoners. Now this.
Mr. Hill, this wide deodorant is giving me no protection against wetness.
You need new extra-wide Arid protection. Arid's powerful anti-wetness ingredient fights odor and the wetness ordinary wide deodorant sticks can't. Get new extra-wide Arid Solid.
Later on Nightline, a protest action by doctors that's closed all but a handful of hospital emergency rooms in South Florida.
The way I see it, the world's a tough place. And to succeed, you need every little edge you can get. That's why I joined the Army. Oh, not just for the college money they're giving me, but for something else that's gonna help me stick to it until I graduate. And maybe help me really make something of my life. If there was one good reason to join, I never even thought about that day I signed up. Being in the Army and being here has helped me understand the value of something I've taken for granted all my life. Just looking at those people over there, I know there's one place a lot of them would give their right arm to be. These 3 years didn't just get me ready for college. They got me ready for life.
Tonight, so right for a ball game. Eat a dog, cheer the team, catch a ball. Tonight, I'm gonna catch one. There it goes. No, I won't. I'm not very tall. It's great just to be here. If I don't catch a ball, I'm still part of it all.
Here you go. Have a ball.
Get up and go. The preceding was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Greg Kosk is the plate umpire tonight with Rocky Rowe at first, Larry Barnett at second, and Vic Voltaggio at third. As the Minnesota Twins come in to begin a 3-game series, they have Dan Gladden leading off, Kirby Puckett hitting in the 2 spot tonight, then Brunansky, Gaetti is the cleanup hitter, Herbeck, Larkin the switch hitting DH, Laudner the catcher, Lombardozzi at second, and Greg Gagne batting ninth with Frank Viola on the mound. And the Yankees go with Ricky Henderson in left, Gary Ward in center, and Dave Winfield in right. The infield of Don Mattingly at first, Randolph at second, Tollison at short, and Morocco just called up from Columbus on Thursday at third base with Rick Cerrone catching. And on the mound, Ron Guidry, who became a free agent, sat out until the 1st of May, re-signed with the Yankees at that point, worked his way back with some stints in Florida and one in AAA, and has come out of the bullpen to rejoin the rotation and works tonight at the beginning of this 3-game series. So here we go on a very pleasant night in New York as Dan Gladden swings and misses. Gladden's been hot, 7-game hitting streak. He was picked up from San Francisco at the end of spring training. He was going to be, at best, the Giants' 4th outfielder, so they found him expendable as the Yankee outfielders are repositioned as Gladden has a big gap in left center and he fouls one away and the count is 0-2. So he was expendable in San Francisco, and he's not only found a home in Minnesota, Jim, but he's worked his way from a platoon player to an everyday player.
Well, he's an outstanding defensive outfielder. He can get on base for you. He can steal a base once he gets on base, so he can do a lot of things. And again, we talked about the lack of depth on Minnesota's ball club. He just gives them an added player on the roster that can do a lot of things.
0-2 the count.
And right there is the pitch that really, I think we will, and maybe possibly indicate whether Guidry is going to be on tonight. That's the slider. Didn't get that down and in. When he gets ahead of you, and he'll throw his fastball away, he'll turn it over a little bit, run it away from you, and then he throws you that hard slider down and in. That ball didn't get down and in, and that's his strikeout pitch.
Strike 2 pitch to Gladden is outside. Guidry always tough against the Twins. It's the first time he has faced them this season, but lifetime, Ron is 17-4 against Minnesota with a 3.09 ERA.
This is one of those ballparks that's built for left-hander. A lot of room out in center, left center field. And when Guidry first came up, he basically was a 2-pitch pitcher. He would throw the riding fastball, which we just saw there, and then a hard slider. Very much like Steve Carlton, Mickey Lolich, down and in. The hitter thinks it's going to be a strike, and then it darts out of the strike zone. Since he has gotten a little bit older, he's come up with a little bit of a curveball. He turns the ball over, his fastball, and also tries a changeup. So about 4 or 5 different looks.
Gladden, it's a high drive to deep left center where it's 4-11, and that's why Henderson has room. So Dan Gladden, for years in the National League, learning about the American League parks, and no doubt learning you do not hit one to left center at Yankee Stadium.
Well, here's that slider. Doesn't quite bite down and in. He wants to throw that ball in the dirt, have him swing over it. He hits it, as we said, to the deepest part of the ballpark. Henderson with great speed, even though he is nursing a sore hamstring, makes the catch. Easy catch. He didn't make it. That's a stylish way that Ricky has of making sure that he gets the ball in his glove.
An easy catch here and a home run just about every place else as Kirby Puckett takes low and in. Kirby Puckett finally beginning to get his due, in the sense Puckett came up in 1984, broke in with a mini splash, and then last year he was the American League starting center fielder in the All-Star game, and now hitting .350. So everybody knows about Puckett, and the count is 1-1.
Well, especially the American League pitchers. And I was talking to Tony Oliva, former, I think, 3-time American League batting champion, who's now the hitting instructor with Minnesota, and he said he hit, and if you take a look at Tony Oliva right there sitting on the bench, he said what Kirby did was try to hit everything to right field. He said, well, let's move up on the plate if they pitch you inside, which is a lot of times the way they will if they're trying to get you to hit the ball that way. Let's turn on the ball, and he did turn on it for 31 home runs.
What's amazing is that he hit no home runs in 1984 in 557 at-bats. There's a drive to center field and right at Gary Ward for the out. 2 down. One of the reasons, by the way, Ward is playing center and Henderson left is that Ricky's been bothered by the hamstring and put him on the DL. He's at about 85 or 90%, so instead of it being the other way around, they give Ward all of center field to patrol and put Ricky in left field. 2 down. Brunansky is the batter. Tom at the halfway mark on a 32 home run pace, batting third tonight, and takes low. It's an interesting middle of the order for Minnesota, because with Puckett hitting in the 2 spot, you then get to Brunansky and Gaetti and Herbert, all with good power. And he hits it in the air to deep right field. Winfield does a 360, reaches and can't make the play. It's gone. Dave turned all the way around, and out she goes off the bat of Brunansky the other way. So Gladden hits a 395-foot out. Puckett hits about a 375-foot out. And then Brunansky hits about a 360-foot home run.
Take another look. It's another high slider. Does not break. Just spins. Brunansky a little bit late, but he is so strong. He sees it right there. He's waiting for it to break. It doesn't. And he sends it right over the right center field fence. So a lot of yardage on the first 3, well, the first 2 outs in a home run.
And what's interesting is that Gladden and Puckett had more distance, but as Brunansky winds up with his 17th home run, and the batter is Gary Gaetti. And a look at Dave as he went back to the wall after spinning all the way around. To Gaetti is grounded to third, and Morocco backhands, has a long throw, and he's got a good arm, as you can see. One third baseman throws out the other. There's Brunansky, who has given Minnesota a 1-0 lead after a half.
This is the anatomy of a whole new animal. It has a tough new frame, bigger and heavier than before. Fuel injection for the most standard power and the heaviest base payload in half-ton pickups. The 88 full-size Chevy pickup. It's a whole new animal.
The heartbeat of America. That's today's Chevy truck.
They wait, they stalk, and they shake the desert sands. All teamed together to do one thing: win. Bill Elliott and his Coors-smelling Thunderbird. Tom the Mongoose McEwen and his Coors funny car. And Ivan the Iron Man Stewart's Coors off-road champion. When the smoke clears, Coors is the one.
1-0 Minnesota after a half inning at Yankee Stadium in New York, and the Yankee lineup looks like this. Henderson, Randolph, and Mattingly. Winfield in the cleanup spot. Then Ward and Claudell Washington is the DH tonight. Morocco, the third baseman. Cerrone hitting 8th. And Wayne Tollison batting 9th for the Yankees. The Twins back of Frank Viola, the outfield of Dan Gladden, Kirby Puckett, and Tom Brunansky, with the infield of Gary Gaetti at third, Greg Gagne at short, Steve Lombardozzi at second, and Ken Herbeck at first. Tim Laudner does the catching. And on the mound is a man who goes to the mound every 5th day and has for the past 4 seasons. Frank Viola grew up in the area, went to St. John's, and he and Bert Blyleven, along with Mike Smithson, now the mainstays in the Minnesota rotation.
Well, we talked about in the opening whether they would have a chance to stay a contender for the American League West, and this is one of the big guys that is going to have to come through. And it's kind of a misleading 1-loss record. He's been beaten 1-0 twice, and also a 3-2 loss. His 3 complete games on the year, and those 3 complete games were all losses. So he's a guy that has an overpowering fastball well into the 90s, a strikeout pitcher, a good changeup, and a curveball to go with it, and he's left-handed.
Rickey Henderson to lead things off after a 3.5-week stint on the disabled list. He'll be followed by Randolph and Mattingly. Rickey not quite 100%, and if you needed evidence, just go back to yesterday's game, and there is more evidence, in fact, hitting 185. But yesterday, he did something he's never done in his big league career, and that is hit into double plays on consecutive at-bats. In fact, it's only the 2nd time in his career he hit into 2 double plays in the same game. Even though he did steal a base yesterday, his 24th of the year, and his first over an 18-game period, which didn't include his stint on the disabled list. And he hits a high drive to deep left field. Going back is Gladden, looking up and makes the catch. So both leadoff men drive it to the wall, but both are gone. Gladden sends Henderson all the way to the fence, and then Rickey sends Gladden.
Well, when you can steal bases like Henderson can, and you miss with the first pitch, and it's 1-0, he's looking fastball all the way. He gets a high fastball, just gets under it a little bit. Pull a little bit more, it'd be a home run, and they're Gladden at the base of the wall to make the catch. Situation where almost at Frank Viola, you have to throw him a strike. He did, and he almost hit a home run.
Willie Randolph, having a great season, takes inside. Buddy Lou Whitaker, who's not having nearly the season Randolph is, will probably be the American League starting second baseman. Low, and the count 2-0. Willie does figure to make the team as a reserve. He leads the league in runs scored, and he's got some pretty good company there. He's 2nd in the league in on-base percentage, 2nd only to Wade Boggs.
The way you do that is you walk a lot. You hit for a high average, and you have 53 walks. And I said, Willie, how come I pitched against him for years, and I thought, here's a guy that makes you throw strikes, pretty much almost could look for a fastball because he doesn't swing at too many breaking balls. And he said, I have gone to a lighter bat, and you can see the small bat. I said, Little League World Series is not till August, Willie. But he's using a bat that's about 31 ounces, and he's pulling the ball. I think the mindset when Billy Martin was here, you got to hit the ball to the right field. You have to hit the ball behind the runner. He's pulling the ball a lot more. And his average is much higher.
And he's worked the count to 3-1 with 1 away, and now he's on. So that's walk number 54. He's 3rd in the league. And again, at the halfway mark of the season, just double the figures, and you're looking at a man who figures to walk about 100 times this year if he's not hurt. Don Mattingly now comes to the plate. Mattingly on the disabled list with a back injury. His numbers are pretty good since he's come back from the disabled list, but he's not real happy with the way he's been swinging. And he was out here early with Bobby Mercer working on his stroke.
Well, he's never really content. That's what makes him as good a player as he is. But he is content with the amount of runs he's driven in. He's not getting very many fastballs the in part of the plate. He said when he does get the ball on the inside of the part of the plate, which is the pitch that he usually can pull for the long ball, he's missed it. But he is getting his singles and doubles to left field.
1-0 the count. Mattingly is hitting .306 against lefties this year, so he hits a fly ball to left field, and Dan Gladden drifts over toward the corner and makes the catch. And there are 2 down. Mattingly gone, with Minnesota leading 1-0 on a Brunansky home run, and Dave Winfield, who really did the job when the pressure was on, with Henderson and Mattingly both on the disabled list, and with the problems the Yankees were having with their left-handed hitters, problems that eventually sent Dan Pasqua back to the minors. Mike Pagliarulo's average low, and the Yankees needed somebody to step in, and Winfield sure did.
Well, George Steinbrenner many times has called him Mr. May. This year you can call him Mr. June, because he had a terrific June and almost single-handedly carried this ball club when you had the 2 key injuries.
RBI leaders, George Bell on top, Wally Joyner, and then there's Winfield at 66. Number 3. Randolph at first base, 2 down. Bottom of the first inning. Now you think about Winfield and you forget about all of the time he spent in the National League. He's been here so long. He's in his 7th season with the Yankees. But when you go back through his career, you realize he has still played more games in the National League than in the American. Came up with the Padres in '73, and the count is 1-1. Winfield yesterday, as you watch the prototypical Winfield swing, broke a couple of bats yesterday. Threw one into the Texas dugout, which shattered, and then he broke his bat, and the bat wrapped around and hit a glancing blow off the side of Winfield's head and ear in the 5th inning. One ball, 1 strike, the count. In there, and the count is 1-2. Lou Piniella, in his 2nd year at the Yankee helm, watching his team on top in the East by 5.
He said they're so banged up, it's hard to come up with 9 guys that can play every night. They have their share of injuries.
Winfield reaches out and grounds one down to La Bardozzi, who goes to Herbeck for the out, and that's that for the Yankees here in the bottom of the 1st. We'll go to the 2nd on a Brunansky homer. It's 1-0 Minnesota.
These are the hands of Mr. Goodwrench. Hands that work. Hands with the know-how to fix things. Hands that are strong and sure. Hands that are gentle, accurate. Hands that can almost see where the trouble is and how to make it right again. Hands of skill. Hands that care. The working hands of Mr. Goodwrench. And no one knows your GM car better. No one.
Tomorrow on ABC, Oliver North testifies live, plus a wrap-up on World News Tonight.
What do you do when the dial goes dark and there's no more hometown radio? Well, tonight on Minnesota's News Channel, we'll have a report on small Minnesota towns losing their only mass media outlet, their radio stations. Why is this 19-year-old man like this, but only in his sleep? Well, Dr. Michael Breen reports on a local sleep disorder clinic that does a lot more than count sheep. And more stormy weather in the Twin Cities today. Dave Dahl will have the latest for us, so please join us tonight after the Twins-Yankees game.
Hi. I just moved in next door. Could I borrow a Diet Pepsi?
Sure. Yes.
Be right with you.
When you go all out for taste, the taste to go out for is Diet Pepsi.
You okay in there?
Here's your Diet Pepsi.
Thanks. I hope it wasn't too much trouble.
No trouble at all.
Diet Pepsi, the choice of a new generation.
KSTP is Minnesota's news channel.
This is Corey McFerrin in New York. Another monster day for Andre Dawson. The Padres and the Cubs. Andre with 2 home runs and 4 RBIs. Here the 2nd round tripper of the day. A 3-run blast in the 5th. Andre for the year now with 23 home runs and 73 RBIs. Chicago shuts out San Diego's 7-0.
And And at Yankee Stadium, the Twins lead the Yankees 1-0 as we start the second inning. Ken Hrbek to lead things off and looks at a strike from Guidry, and the count is 0-1. Hrbek hit a home run Saturday in a Twins victory over Baltimore, and then yesterday broke a 3-3 tie, leading off with a home run in the bottom of the ninth off Tom Niedenfuhr for a series sweep as Hrbek fouls it away. Kent coming back to a place where he hit his first Major League home run back on the 24th of August in '81, and it was George Frazier, who is now his teammate, delivering, and out she went. Reggie Jackson got a good view of that one as it left the park. 1-2 the count on Hrbek.
They can hit the ball about as far as anybody, but the one thing that left-handed pitching normally does, and if you go back to 29 home runs he hit last year, 25 were hit off right-handed pitching, only 4 off left-handers.
Fly ball to center field. Ward got a late start, but it's high enough so that he turns it into a routine play. One down, and now we'll take a look at Gene Larkin, who started the season in the minors, came up in the middle of May, made his Twins debut on the 21st of May, and for Larkin it's coming home. He was born in Flushing, lives on Long Island in the town of North Belmore, and went to Columbia, where he eclipsed many of the records set by Lou Gehrig. Switch hitter, and the DH tonight he takes outside. Tom Kelly, at the age of 36, the major's youngest manager. And he's gotten a lot of productivity from his DH. There's a better look at Kelly, who has Larkin for the most part as his DH against lefties. And what a job Roy Smalley has done this season as the designated hitter against right-handers. Smalley is hitting .320. Larkin fouls it away, and the count 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Well, it's a manager's dream when you can have a guy like Roy Smalley that is really a switch hitter, but as you said, primarily used as a left-hand hitter, and his last 37 home runs, 35 have been against right-handed pitching. So you have 2 guys that complement themselves quite well.
Fouled away, and the count 1 ball and 2 strikes. Larkin with decent power. He has 15 home runs in Double-A last year. And he's a big man at 6'3", 195. There's a look at Roy Smalley in the background there.
He's talking
behind Brunansky.
Talking to Sal Butera about Larkin, and he said he's basically a spray hitter, though.
Don't get the appeal from Rowe, and the count is 2-2.
Take another look for yourself. Does the bat go out in front of home plate? Well, he stopped it pretty well. As you said, Al, 6'3", and pretty good strength to stop a bat like that.
Little looper to the right side, and an easy play for Willie Randolph. Larkin becomes out number 2. And now we'll take a look at Tim Laudner. Laudner's average as he stands in is a measly 183. But he has 10 home runs, and he has those 10 home runs in only 131 at-bats. So here's a guy for whom it is all or nothing. He has 24 hits this season, 10 homers.
Well, he's a big free swinger. I remember back in '82, I pitched against him. You don't have to really keep the ball in the strike zone, especially if you get ahead. He has a tendency to chase the high inside fastball, also the breaking ball away. But there's a guy that in the minor leagues hit 42 home runs one year, so he has awesome power. Just contact's the problem.
He did that in Orlando in 1981. In for a strike, and the count is 0-2. Twins have Butera as the backup catcher. Also, Tom Nieto will be coming off the disabled list shortly. Nieto had started the season as the regular catcher. And Laudner has played quite a bit of late. And down he goes. Laudner gone on 3 pitches, and the Twins are gone 1-2-3. 1-0 Minnesota.
I got a feeling for my hometown. I know the streets, I know my way around.
If you've ever played sports, you understand the hometown advantage. And that's the whole idea behind Century 21. We know our hometowns because each Century 21 office is independently owned and operated. Put us all together, and you've got the #1 home selling system in America.
I got a feeling for my
Century 21, the hometown advantage.
Here's to the winners, those who move mountains. Here's to the miracles they make us see.
Holiday Inn salutes the people with faith enough to try and patience enough to smile. To all the people who still believe in dreams and in themselves.
Here's to the winners, all of us can be.
Holiday Inn welcomes and reminds you, if you're a winner, we're on your way.
Last Thursday night at the Silver Bullet.
Hey guys, somebody lost a little black book.
He'll be back. My Coors Light, Sal?
Pat Martin, 2 stars.
Pat Martin.
Terry Tarrant, 3 stars.
Tarrant, is that with 2 R's?
Barbara Barlow, 5 stars.
Excuse me. I lost my address book. Thanks.
Anybody got an eraser?
No slowing down with the Silver Bullet tonight.
Yankee Stadium in New York as we go to the bottom of the second inning. Minnesota on top 1-0, and the Yankees will be sending Gary Ward, Claudell Washington, and Jeff Moronco to the plate. And for those of you who've been watching the Dodgers and the Cardinals with the rain delay at Busch Stadium, we welcome you to Yankee Stadium in New York. Al Michaels along with Jim Palmer. Tom Brunansky hit a home run for Minnesota, an opposite field home run in the top of the first inning. And that's all of the scoring. It's 1-0 Minnesota in a battle of left-handers, Frank Viola and Ron Guidry. Yankees on top by 5 in the East, and the Twins in a virtual tie for first with Kansas City in the West as Gary Ward fouls it away. And the count is 0-1. And for those just joining us, another look at the home run hit by Tom Brunansky. It came with 2 out in the first inning after 2 long outs off the bats of Gladden and Puckett. Brunansky went the other way, and that was his 17th home run. So it's 1-0 with Gary Ward at the plate. Ward hitting .264. Gary in his first year with the Yankees. And the count 0-2.
An idea of how good Frank Viola is. I think that when you think of one of the premier left-handers in the game, you think of Fernando Valenzuela. Over the last 3.5 years, Frank Viola's won more games than Fernando, so has awesome stuff.
You could win a lot of bets. It's an interesting point you make with Viola winning more games. If you were to say to somebody, which left-hander has won the most games over the last 3.5 years, and then you said, give me a hint. Well, it starts with a V and it ends with an A. How many would have said Valenzuela? About 95%. Ward got on strikes, 1 away.
Very effectively threw him a high fastball, and here he comes back with a changeup. Way out in his front foot. Salute to Mr. Viola with a little wave off his front foot.
There is Ron Guidry as he perches on the Yankee bench, and Claudell Washington stands in the bottom of the second inning. A strike. It's one of the rare times you'll see a left-handed DH against a left-handed pitcher, and one of the reasons is Ron Kittle with a sore neck can't play tonight. He would be the DH for the Yankees. But Kittle hurt himself last week, in fact, running out his inside the park homer in Toronto. It has stiffened on him, and so Washington gets the start, and the count is 0-2. Viola missing with a fastball. 1-2.
Another illustration of what Lou Piniella was telling about how difficult it is to make up a lineup. Kittle having an exceptional year at .305, hitting for the highest average that I ever recall him hitting for. And he's not available to put in there.
Well, Washington is not a bad man to have in against the lefty, at least this season. Claudell's hitting .367 against lefties. He's 11 for 30.
Well, when he came up with Oakland, Al, he was the type of guy that hit the ball all over the field. And if you're going to hit a left-handed versus left-hand, you have to stay in there. You can't have that right shoulder flying out. You have to try to hit the ball back up the middle, and you might minimize the home runs, but you'll make contact.
Down he goes here, and so Viola has begun the second inning by striking Ward and Washington out. And now he'll face the rookie Jeff Marenko.
And what he's done, he set up the fastball, and here comes the changeup. He swings right over it again. And once you have a 90-plus fastball, you make the hitter look for it. Then you just get way out in front again. You can see a very similar swing to Gary Ward, the previous hitter. Way out in front on the front foot for another strikeout.
Jeff Marenko. The other day, Marenko picked up a base hit, and the message board said, "Congratulations to Marenko on his first major league hit." Except he'd been up before with Cleveland in 1984. Low for a ball on the count. 1-0. Marenko, a career minor leaguer, signed with the Cleveland chain and worked his way up through their minor league system and played in 7 games with the big club in '84, and then was dealt to Texas and spent the last 2 seasons at Oklahoma City. Fly to right to Brunansky, and that's that with the Yankees here in the bottom of the 2nd inning. New York goes out in order, and at the end of 2 complete, it's the Twins 1 and the Yankees nothing.
Oh, caramel corn for breakfast. Want a little milk for that?
No, thanks, Dad, but how about some sugar for your, what is that, acorns?
Nuggets. Nutri-Grain nuggets.
Sounds healthy.
Yep, whole grain.
Whole grain. Where are the holes in here?
Introducing Nutri-Grain Nuggets, the first whole grain nugget cereal.
That's really crunchy.
Whole grain's not half bad.
Kellogg's Nutri-Grain Nuggets. Finally, a whole grain nugget.
Okay, Nose, go check it out. Nose can smell a stinky roach spray a block away.
Not this one. Now, Raid Anti-Roach Killer has a new, lighter scent.
All clear.
So it's easier on you, tough as ever on roaches.
Hey, Nose, what smells so good? Who knows? Uh-oh.
Raid Anti-Roach Killer kills bugs dead. Now with a new, lighter scent.
We know what kills your muffler. It's rust. Moisture inside your muffler can rust it from the inside out. The revolutionary Walker Advantage muffler with Absorbite fights the deadly effects of internal moisture. Look at these test results. An ordinary muffler, the Walker Advantage with Absorbite. Take the Advantage. It puts rust at a disadvantage.
Check your local Yellow Pages under mufflers for the Walker dealer nearest you.
Al Michaels and Jim Palmer at Yankee Stadium in New York, where the Twins lead it by a score of 1-0. Minnesota will keep one eye on the scoreboard tonight as Kansas City faces Cleveland. And did you notice where the Royals have moved Brett Saberhagen up a day in the rotation? Otherwise, he would have pitched tomorrow and then Sunday, and that would have precluded his appearing in the All-Star game in all likelihood. So they pitch him tonight on 3 days rest, and that means they bring him back probably Saturday on 4 days rest. And he can start, if John McNamara so deems, the All-Star game in Oakland a week from tomorrow. But as we start play tonight, it is Minnesota trailing Kansas City by percentage points in the West, and Oakland third, 2 back. Steve Lombardozzi, Greg Gagne, and Dan Gladden. Those are the 8, 9, and 1 hitters for the Twins in the 3rd inning.
And Steve, known better for his glove, best fielding percentage of any second baseman in the American League last year, and that's one of the reasons they traded Tim Tuffle to the Mets. They didn't feel that Tuffle had enough range on AstroTurf, where they play most of their ball games at Minnesota, or at least all their games in Minnesota. And I think another thing, Al, if you go back to Friday night's game against the Orioles, here's a guy that struggled with a bat all year, yet he won the game with a extra inning base hit.
And he snapped an 0 for 17 streak in doing so. Jeff Reardon, who normally goes to work at about 9:45. So he's an hour or better away right now, but hopeful of having the night off with Viola on the mound.
Funny you should say that. When my first year in Baltimore back in 1965, we had a relief pitcher, one of the greatest of all time, Stu Miller. Was blown off the mound one of the All-Star games out in San Francisco. He used to literally, at about 9:45, come out of the locker room with a towel around his neck, march out to the bullpen, and start warming up because it was his time.
3-0 pitch is in there for a strike.
Pardon the pun, but it was Miller time.
Except that's when they played games a little more quickly than they do today. If Miller were around right now, he'd have to wait until about 10 after 10. We understand it has stopped raining in St. Louis, so they're hopeful of getting that one restarted as Lombardozzi draws the walk to start the top of the third inning. And of course, for those of you watching the Cardinals and the Dodgers, when they do restart that one, we'll take you back to Busch Stadium. Update scores now. Kansas City and Cleveland with Saberhagen working in that one. 3-3 in the fourth. Bell has hit his 28th homer. Toronto leads Texas 6-1, and Baltimore leads the White Sox 1-0 in the fourth. The other games are later. Boston at California, Detroit at Oakland, and Milwaukee at Seattle.
You just saw a rarity. Ron Guidry walking somebody, especially a leadoff hitter, had the best control record of any pitcher with over 162 innings last year. Again, this year, exceptional control. I think Ron's really at a point where he has to, because of losing a little bit on his fastball, he has to make better pitches, has to have good control, not only to throw the ball over the strike, but good control within the strike zone.
Greg Gagne laying down a bunt. Guidry down off the mound in a hurry, but has to settle for the out at first base. As Lombardozzi advances, Mattingly gets the put out, 1-3 sacrifice, and with Lombardozzi now at second and one down, to the top of the order, and Dan Gladden, who flied to deep left field, 395 to 400 foot out in the first inning.
Just about all the Twin players I talked to before the game said that what they liked about Tom Kelly, he was bold and he did brazen things, but that is very conventional baseball. When you have a guy like Viola that is pitching and seems to be throwing the ball very well tonight, a lot of times with a 1-0 lead, you want to add a run, make it a little bit easier on your defense, put a little more pressure on the opposing ball club. So you get the guy to second base and you give Gladden, who, as you said, has been very hot, an opportunity to score another run.
And you've got Gladden, and if he can't do it, you still have Puckett hitting .350 with Brunansky following him. So the runner at second base, Cerrone and Guidry, get together to recheck the signs with one out in the third inning, and Minnesota leading 1-0. Lombardozzi at second. Gladden at the plate. Among other things, he's given them a good leadoff hitter. He's given them some speed. Dan can run. He has 13 steals. And he's a very heady player. For instance, yesterday on a fly ball to center field, he was at first base, tagged up, and went to second. Drives it to left field, and right at Henderson, who makes the catch for the out. And there are two down. Not that tagging up from first is stop the presses stuff, but it's the type of play you don't see that often, and you should see more often than you do. And Gladden was right there and alert yesterday, and he goes from first into scoring position on a fly ball to center.
Well, it's just continuous pressure on the opposition.
Puckett standing in. Unfortunately, Puckett has to play in the same league with Wade Boggs. Otherwise, he'd have a great chance at a batting title. Kirby fly to deep center in the first. 1-0. Puckett, not only a great hitter and a man who last year proved he has a lot of power with 31 home runs and 14 thus far this year, but a Gold Glove winner as well.
But it's interesting in talking to him how he said his job description changes when he hits second instead of third. A lot of times this year he sacrificed power by hitting the ball the other way, where if he was batting third, and again we talked about what Dan Gladden does with his ball club, it allows you to have a guy that hit 31 home runs not to have to lead him off.
In this situation, Guidry can afford to be fine. He has first base open. Brunansky on deck. Two out. Lombardozzi, the runner, at second. Popped foul and back out of play, and the count is 2-1.
Of course, I know what you're saying about being careful, in other words, making his pitch, but the great way to get out of the ball game is to pitch around Puckett and have the guy that homered off you last time come up and hit another one. So what you really want to do here is try to get him to hit your pitch, but again, you don't really want to walk him, because not only psychologically but physically you put your team right out of the ball game.
But you treat a man with a certain measure of extra respect when he comes up hitting .349. And you're as hot as Kirby's been. He gets a fly ball to right center field. Winfield and Ward come together, and it's Ward making the catch to retire the side. Twins lead Lombardozzi at second. 1-0 Minnesota, middle of the third.
Big news! Mini cheeseburgers. New burger bundles from Burger King. Mini cheeseburgers, big, flame broiled taste. New burger bundles. One size fits all. They're here for a limited time only, so hurry in and try them on for size. Burger King, the best food for fast times.
Every 34 seconds, somebody buys a new Chevy Cavalier. In fact, before this day is through, over 1,000 people will drive away in new Cavaliers. There goes another one.
Chevy announces summer rates as low as 3.9% financing or up to $1,000 cash back. Chevy's new summer rates on selected Chevys. See your Chevy dealer for qualification details now.
When you talk to the experts from Coors about their beer, this is what happens. Now, this is great. Bob Foster here says that his special blend of hops is the one thing that gives Coors its character and its taste. The one thing. Darwin Davidson says it's his two-row barley. And Sun Lee claims it's his specially cultured yeast. That's great. Come on, guys. What is it? Barley. I love it. You want to know why Coors is the one? Teamwork.
Tom Kelly has his team along with Kansas City on top in the West. Here are the keys to his team's future success.
I think our starters have to be consistent for us. Of course, they're not going to be able to do it every time out, but we can't go into a streak where they all have a bad go, you know, where we're going to lose 4 or 5 in a row. We have to try to stay away from that. And Blyleven's probably our key man, and Viola, they're very capable of throwing out a good ball game for you every time they go out there, and hopefully they're going to give it to us, and we can stay away from any prolonged losing streaks, and hopefully as the Smithsons and Les Straker and Berenguer and Reardon will keep going the way they are, and we'll put together some winning streaks, and I think that'll keep us up on top.
It always comes back to pitching, doesn't it?
Certainly does. Blyleven over 4,000 innings. Won yesterday, went 9 innings. It's like a dinosaur now, going 9 innings.
Ask Piniella. Rick Cerrone, Tolleson, and Henderson, the 8, 9, and 1 hitters. 2-1 pitch is hit high in the air to deep center field, but simply a long out. Puckett will put it away, and Cerrone is taken care of. And we'll take a look at Tolleson. On the subject of complete games, the Yankees haven't gotten one since the 10th of May. So it's been almost 2 months. Oddly, it was against Minnesota, and oddly, it was Charlie Hudson who pitched that complete game. He was subsequently farmed out and just brought back up tonight with Rich Bordy sent to Columbus.
Of course, if you look at the Yankees pitching staff, Rasmussen is really, his 7-4 is having a lot of problems with his control. So when you're throwing on constantly 140 pitches and you're somewhere around the 7th inning, it's tough to go 9 innings. Tommy John is ancient, so you get 6 or 7 quality innings out of him and you're happy. And the only other guy really is Rick Rhoden, who's won 10 ball games and having an outstanding year. But this is something we talked about a month ago. What they need is innings from their starters, and that's why I was very surprised they let Joe Niekro go. Even though they did need a left-handed hitting catcher in Mark Salas.
Niekro is due to pitch tomorrow night against Tommy John in a Geritol battle. 0-2 pitch is fouled away on Tolleson, and the count remains 0-2 on Wayne with Henderson on deck. There's a look at Rick Rhoden, and next to him, left of the screen, is Mark Salas, who started the season with the Twins and then was traded to the Yankees last month. One ball, 2 strikes to count. Tolleson quietly has done a nice job. He's tailed off a little bit offensively over the past 4 or 5 weeks, but has done a very respectable job solidifying the infield. It's grounded down to third, and Gary Gaetti goes to Herbeck for the out. And there are 2 down with Ricky Henderson, the top of the order, coming to the plate.
Well, Wayne Tolleson reminds me a lot of Wally Backman, who plays for the Mets. For him to be successful, he cannot hit a lot of fly balls because his fly balls are normally caught. They don't go out of the ballpark, say, as Jose Canseco or Mark McGuire or Eric Davis. So, but his main strength is what he's done to this defense here in New York.
Rickey Henderson, his average slipping, he's 5 for 27 now since coming off the disabled list. Rickey with a deep drive, but caught by Gladden at the fence in the bottom of the first inning. He came just a couple of feet shy of hitting another leadoff home run. He's hit 33 during his career, and he's only 2 shy of the major league record held by Bobby Bonds. 1-1 to count.
Well, the National League counterpart of Rickey Henderson is the man that we saw, Tim Raines, except that Henderson can hit with more power.
1-1 to Henderson. Outside, ball 2. It's 2-1 with 2 out and the bases empty. We're in the bottom of the third inning. Minnesota leading 1-0 on a home run by Tom Brunansky. And again, for those of you expecting to see the Dodgers and the Cardinals, that game is being delayed by rain.
There it is once again, Al, the 2-1 changeup. You know the guy's got a 95-mile-per-hour fastball. You're looking for it. Figure he's going to have to throw you a strike. What's he do? Just change his speed. Way out in front again. It's something we're going to see all night long as Viola keeps the ball down in the strike zone.
2-2 to Henderson. Hits softly to shallow center field and dropping for a base hit. Puckett not only playing pretty deep, but had a tough time reading it as he left the bat. He got a very late start. And Henderson with a looping single. The Yankees' first hit.
Well, you see the big swing, but he hits the ball right off the end of the bat. And when you do that, you see him reach for it. The ball just doesn't go as far. A lot of times reaction by the center fielder or an outfielder. You see maybe just about a step and a half back. I doubt if he would have caught it anyway, but the ball falls for a single.
So Henderson at first base. 2 down. Randolph at the plate. 1-0. Rickey, of course, always a threat to steal. A little less so in watching him over the weekend. Even though he did steal a base yesterday, he's at least thinking about that hamstring.
Well, also, Viola's one of the best moves in the business. This year, 122 innings. They've only stolen 3 bases. Attempted 7, so they caught 4 out of the 7 runners. So much lower percentage than any of the other Minnesota pitchers. And that, of course, one of the facts is that he's left-handed. He can look at the runner. Of course, the key to getting or keeping the runner from stealing, of course, is getting the ball to home plate as quickly as you can.
1-1. Henderson taking for Rickey a pretty conservative lead on the first 2 pitches. Now he has stretched it out about a half step, and Viola misses away. Ball 2. 2-1.
But the real effect of a Rickey Henderson is what does it do to Frank Viola when he's pitching to Willie Randolph? When he has to hurry to get rid of the ball, deliver it to home plate a little bit more quickly, it might take something off, but he doesn't make the quality pitch. And Randolph's most likely going to get a fastball to hit or a better pitch to hit.
It's a good thing Viola does keep runners close. Laudner has only a 15% success rate throwing out would-be base stealers. He's thrown out 6 of 40. Rickey bluffs going, and the pitch is up and away. It's 3-1 with Mattingly on deck.
So that's again what Rickey Henderson can do. He hits a looper to center, distracts Frank Viola, counts 3-1. Willie Randolph can pretty much look for the pitch he wants to hit here. If he doesn't get it, he can either take it for a strike if it happens to be a strike, or he can look for his pitch and try to get a good swing.
3-1. He takes it for a strike, and the count is full. So now Henderson will be going 3-2. 2 down. We're in the bottom of the third inning at Yankee Stadium with Minnesota leading 1-0. So now Herbeck will play behind Henderson. And with Rickey going, the 3-2 pitch is ball 4. And Randolph had to take another look back at Greg Koch. Even Willie wasn't sure that was ball 4.
You You can see the smile on Frank Viola's face, and you'll see why right here. Look where this pitch is. Looks like it caught the inside corner, but then again, I'm a former pitcher. But again, as we said, Willie Randolph takes his pitches so well. He dove back from the plate, gives Greg Koss, the home plate umpire, another look, and a lot of times you don't call a strike a strike.
Mattingly at the plate, Henderson at second, and Randolph at first. High for a ball, 1-0, and Laudner will go to the mound.
There are not too many bargains in this Yankee lineup. Some kind of offensive ball club.
Especially at the top of the order, because you begin with Henderson, and then you've got Randolph, and then you've got Mattingly, 3 guys hitting better than 300. And then Winfield comes along hitting 296. Not only a great hitter, as you all know, but a guy who does figure to put the ball in play. He struck out only 5 times in his last 136 at-bats.
This is a situation where he will look for a ball in the inside half, and if he does, he's going to try to drive it.
3-0. And Winfield is on deck. There is Dave, who a week ago tonight came up in a bases-loaded situation at Toronto and hit one out to win the game 15-14. And they're loaded for Dave. A looping single by Henderson. Now 2 walks. And uncharacteristically, Frank Viola walking men back to back. And Winfield coming to the plate. Viola got Winfield to chase a pitch on the corner or just outside in the bottom of the first inning, and he bounced weakly to the second baseman. So let's see if he tries to keep it in that area again. Is at third. Randolph is at second. Mattingly is at first. And Laudner and Lombardozzi are at the mound with Viola.
Takes a lot of patience as a hitter right now to really get a good strike to hit. You know, Winfield's got to figure he's going to throw him a strike. Going to try to throw a fastball on the outside part of the plate, which is really where Winfield likes to get his arms extended. Showed me a lot of guts to throw anything other than a fastball on the outside part of the plate.
Crowd responding in good measure to the message board, which posts louder, louder, louder in bigger and bigger and bigger letters. Winfield in there, 1-1. For his last 25 with men in scoring position, and that, I guess, details better than anything else what he has meant to this team over the past few weeks. One and 2.
Looks like he caught Dave guessing. He took the 1-0 pitch right down the middle, and there he just throws him a changeup. And again, you'll just see him. We're going to see so many Yankees tonight because primarily the Yankees are a good fastball hitting ball club. And when you can pull the string, which is what they call a changeup, you're going to get them out on their front foot, especially if you keep it around the knees. It's a very difficult touch to handle.
strikeout.
Pretty good idea of Dave Winfield's arm span. That ball was up and away. He hit a rocket down the right field line.
It's a great idea if you're a fan and you're sitting off to the right side back of first base to pay a lot of attention when Winfield comes to the plate. Fortunately, everybody is all right. He hit that one off a railing. To the Winfield. Took something off it, and it's fouled away. Piniella, who has watched his team go 16-7 since that 3-game sweep by Toronto in early June. And the Yankees went from 2.5 back to 5 in front.
Not a bad job for an average manager, wouldn't you say? Of course, George Steinbrenner did say Lou knew what his job description was. He had to win, and he's done that.
Fly ball to right field, and Brunansky gets underneath it and makes the catch to quell the Yankee rally here in the bottom of the third. No runs, a hit. And 3 left. It's 1-0 Minnesota after 3. For those of you watching the Dodgers and the Cardinals, we take you back to St. Louis. For everybody else, we'll be back in a moment.
Mom's magic meatloaf is weighing on you like a ton of bricks. Send the bubbles of Alka-Seltzer to the rescue, because speed is what you need to lift the heaviness off your stomach and relieve your heartburn and pounding headache fast. So for fast relief, let the bubbles rise to the occasion. Alka-Seltzer to the rescue. Try new extra strength Alka-Seltzer. More of what you take Alka-Seltzer for.
Take me back where I belong. Take me where it's safe and warm.
The Goodyear Vector is the all-season radial that pumps water away to keep more tire tread on the road. And for some, that's a comforting thought.
Take me home, Goodyear, take me home. Never matters how far I go, Goodyear, take me home.
You've done your jobs. Now let's wrap up the deal.
American had the first flight. You're set.
Perfect. What's the best they can offer?
Looks like 52 a share.
Not good enough.
This is from Legal. Here are your tickets. You have boarding passes and seat assignments. It's American. Go straight to the gate. Good luck.
Luck? You two are all the luck I need. When you're something special, people know it.
ABC's Monday Night Baseball is being brought to you by Coors Light, the Silver Bullet. There's no slowing down with a Silver Bullet. Through 3 innings, the scoring wrapped up in this one play. Tom Brunansky in the top of the first inning with 2 out and the bases empty. You drive to right field, and after Dave Winfield had done a 360, out you went. 1-0 Minnesota. And this one is hit off the bat of Brunansky down the line and into the corner, and Ricky Henderson runs out of room. Foul ball. 0-1. So Brunansky, Gaetti, and Herbeck here in the 4th. And Tom, as they say, using the whole field in his first 2 trips to the plate.
And he took looked like a high slider down the right field line for the home run, and there he took a slider that didn't really break that well and pulled it foul. But indication of how much power this guy. There's only been 10 guys over the last 5 years that have hit 20 more home runs each year, and Tom Brunansky is one of them, so he can hit the ball a long way.
1-1.
I was talking to him at the batting cage, and he said that he really feels that he's a smarter hitter because basically he senses how pitchers are pitched him. He said he cannot get more than 1 fastball to hit each at bat.
He got one there, and the count 1-2.
Yes, unfortunately, he swung one and was in the glove. And that's the old Ron Guidry fastball. And Lou Piniella was talking that in that 7 2/3 innings of shutout ball in Toronto, he was up around 87 miles per hour. I think that's on the slow gun, so he's well over 90 miles per hour. So there's still a lot of life in the Gators' arm.
Another fastball. Bernansky, it's a high drive to right center field. Ward is there, though, and makes the catch for the out. A lot of fly ball outs thus far. That's 6 to the outfielders and one other pop-up caught by the second baseman. So they're hitting it in the air against Guidry to this point. A reminder following Nightline tonight, ABC Monday Sports Night, featuring, among other interviews, a visit with Paul Newman about his driving career.
Well, they call that portion of Yankee Stadium Death Valley, and if you can pitch up out over the plate, and Guidry is able to do that, and I think that's one of the reasons he's been so successful here at Yankee Stadium, you're going to get a lot of fly ball outs. It's really, you're working two planes. You're running the ball away, and then you're throwing that hard slider down and in, so the hitter can't really sit in one particular area.
Fouled away, and a count 1 ball and 1 strike on Gary Gaetti, the G-man they call him. I guess you could call either of the guys on the left side of the infield G-man, Gary Gaetti and Greg Gagne. But he's G-Man 1, and you earn that honor by hitting 34 home runs, which he did last year.
And you combine that with winning a Gold Glove for fielding excellence.
You know, it's funny because a lot of people think, well, sure, the Twins hit a lot of home runs because they play in the Metrodome. And granted, it doesn't hurt, but it doesn't help nearly as much as you would think. And we could load you down with a bunch of numbers that would prove it, but take it from us that the Metrodome in Minnesota does not have as great an effect as its reputation would lead you to believe. Gaetti is a guy who, well, he could point to a situation last year where he hit 34, he hit 16 at the Dome and 18 on the road. Fouled away, it's still 2-2.
I think the fallacy as far as it being a home run ballpark was established the first year before they had air conditioning. When they built that ballpark, they wanted to get it under budget, did not have air conditioning, and the ball did carry a long, long way. But if you're left-handed, you do have a short porch in right field, but Gaetti, as you can see, is, did I say right-handed? If you're left-handed, you have a short porch, and if you're right-handed, you have to hit the ball fairly good distance to get the ball out of the ballpark.
3-2 on Gaetti with 1 out and the bases empty. Minnesota leading 1-0. And it's fouled away. So still 3-2 with Ken Hrbek waiting on deck. A look at some of the National League scores with the games in progress right now. We told you about the Cubs winning 7-0. San Francisco, a rain delay now in the 9th. They lead Pittsburgh 7-5, and the Dodgers and the Cardinals getting back underway after a rain delay as Gaetti draws ball 4. Second walk given up by Guidry, and it will bring up Hrbek. It's raining in Cincinnati, so they're delayed there, the Phillies and the Reds. It's also raining in Atlanta. The Mets are there. And Houston, it might be raining there, but we'll never know with the Dome. It's 2-0 at the end of 1. Hrbek, fly to center in the second inning. It's a ground ball to Randolph. He goes to Tollison. Back to Mattingly. Double play. First DP of the game, and down go the Twins in the 4th. After 3.5, it remains Minnesota 1, the Yankees 0.
Mom, send $500 soon, or there won't be a honeymoon.
I'm calling about your son, Jerome. Better send money. He wants to go home.
早く送ってくれないか。スピード違反でパクられた。
To send someone money fast, come to Western Union. We'll make sure it gets to any of our 10,000 locations, usually in 15 minutes or less. Sayonara! Western Union, the fastest way to send money.
Even Davy Johnson, manager of the Mets, has days when his pitcher and his stomach balk.
Can't believe he walks the leadoff batter.
Which is why Davy keeps Rolaids nearby. Rolaids antacid is serious medicine that consumes all the acid required to bring millions 100% relief.
I hope he doesn't throw him a fastball.
And on days filled with errors and frankfooters, Rolaids relief is what's needed most.
I should have gone into golf.
Get serious relief. Get Rolaids.
After work at the Silver Bullet.
She ain't coming. She'll be here. We just take it easy. She ain't coming.
Relax. Have a Coors Light. She's just a little late.
Well, she ain't coming.
Look, what time did you tell her to meet you?
8.
8. So she's an hour late. No big deal. You know, Friday night traffic.
Friday night? Oh, man, I told her Thursday night.
She ain't coming.
There's no slowing down with the Silver Bullet tonight.
This is Corey McFerrin in New York. The Dodgers and Cardinals, that rain delay in St. Louis, absolutely no effect on Jack Clark. What a year he's having. Bottom of the first inning, this 2-run shot to the stands in left field. 2-0 Cardinals lead for Clark, his 25th home run on the year. That's tops in the National League.
And here at Yankee Stadium, the difference in the game is a home run by Tom Brunansky as we go to the bottom of the 4th, and Gary Ward leads off for New York. Ward, Washington, and Morocco. Gary Ward signed as a free agent by the Yankees because they had so many problems last season against lefties. Ward signed with the Twins back in 1973, and he spent 7 years in the Minnesota farm system. Then he was called up, spent 3 years with the big club, and then went over to Texas in '84 and spent 3 years with the Rangers. So in a way, for Gary, it's like facing his old ball club, even though there have been a number of changes since Ward left the Twin Cities. He's hit .337 this year against lefties, so he's done exactly what the Yankees had hoped and then some, because he's hit right-handers well as well.
18-11 against lefties this year, 22-33 last year, so it's a big difference. I think a lot of people poo-pawed the fact that Gary Ward would really help the Yankees. He hadn't done that much in Texas, even though he hit over 300 last year. Power numbers were down, but had a lot of personal problems and injury problems. They like the way he comes to the ballpark and plays hard.
And down he goes. Viola turns it over, strikes Ward out for the second time. And that's strikeout number 3 overall for Frank. 1 down. AL East standings, there are the Yankees. You can see they started out early on at 500. They've been up and over that. And then we add Toronto in light blue. And you can see that those teams have pretty much been going in tandem, except recently. Washington takes a strike, so there's Toronto the way they have been going this year. And then we add Detroit in orange. They had a tough early May, but you can see the Tigers have come on. 0-2, and then we can add Milwaukee, and there they were early on with a 13-game streak out of the box, and then back to around the 500 mark. So a capsulized look at the way the race has developed in the East as Washington drills one into the corner for extra bases. Brunansky plays the carom perfectly, but settles for throwing it into Lombardozzi. Claudell Washington now 12 for 32 against lefties this season.
A nice compact swing. That ball is jolted down the right field line. Claudell coming off a pulled groin muscle. Maybe thought twice about going into second, but Brunansky seemed to get the ball right off the wall and then hesitated for a second, and Claudell was able to go into second with a double.
So Washington is at second as the tying run with 1 out. Jeff Morocco is the batter. Morocco called up from Columbus the other day when Bobby Meacham went on the disabled list. And the Yankees needed an extra infielder. Washington goes. The throw to third is a strike from Laudner to Gaetti. So Claudell Washington thought for some reason he was going to catch Viola and/or Laudner napping. Out by 5 feet.
Well, I would think it's a surprise type of play. And Laudner, good pitch to throw on. Comes up, throws right behind Morocco, and he's out by a mile. One of those plays, it's great if you make it. Not a particularly big lead, Right here, he's wishing he'd gone back to second.
Morocco fouls the next pitch away, and the count is 0-2. 2 down now with the bases empty.
Pretty much of a flat-footed lead by Claudel. You'd think if you're going to steal third, you want to get that extra jump. If you're going to try to surprise Frank Viola, try to get a running lead, and you make it a lot easier.
Fouled away again. Morocco is a Texan. He was born in Houston and lives in the Houston suburb of Pasadena. He is 26 years old. We mentioned earlier he was drafted by Cleveland. He came up through the Cleveland system, and then Bob Quinn came over to the Yankee front office, so Bob knew all about Morocco, and on his recommendation he was brought aboard. Popped into foul territory, and Gaetti is there to make the catch as one third baseman fouls out to the other. No runs ahead and nobody left at the end of 4, 1-0 Minnesota, and we'll be back after this message and news headlines from your local station.
Like you never have before. Gatorade is thirsty, so go and get your thirsty body when it's feeling thirsty for. Gatorade is thirsty for that deep down body thirst.
Nothing cuts through thirst like Gatorade Thirst Quencher. It speeds in fluids and minerals and supplies energy to working muscles.
Quench it! Gatorade is thirsty for that deep down body thirst.
At this price, the Camaro Sport Coupe looks good from almost any angle. But now that a multi-port fuel-injected V6 is standard, we think more people will be looking at it from this angle.
Chevy announces summer rates as low as 3.9% financing or up to $1,000 cash back. Chevy's new summer rates on selected Chevys. See your Chevy dealer for qualification details now.
Peachy, 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 real needy. Peachy, 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 real needy.
From out of the peach comes Riuniti Natural Peach. Bursting with a taste of fresh peaches. Not a watered-down cooler, just natural Riuniti.
Peachy, peachy.
Riuniti Natural Peach. You'll go peaches over it.
Peachy, Riuniti.
And try apple and raspberry, too.
Imagine turning into an ogre whenever you fall asleep, making a nightmare for those around you. Well, that's a local man's dilemma, and you'll see the story on the update right after baseball.
All right, I want to see how good your memory is. Tom Kelly, the Minnesota manager, had a very nondescript major league career, part of one season in 1975. He hit 181. Do you remember facing Tom Kelly?
No. I never remember facing the 182 hitter.
There he is. Tom Kelly made his major league debut against Jim Palmer.
And he doubled?
No. He grounded out, but you needed a great play from Bobby Grich. I was talking to him before the game. He said, I got the two quickest strikes in history. The next thing I know, it's 0-2. It's the first thing and the next thing I know. It's 0-2. He had a ground ball by Lee May. Grich made a great play, and you got over to first base as he put it just in time.
That's what my job was to do. I used to tell my first baseman, you get everything you can. If you can't get it, I'll be there. And if it gets by you, Grich, who was one of the outstanding second basemen.
So it was Palmer who sent Kelly on the road to obscurity.
No wonder he didn't talk to me very much before the game. I knew there was... And all his players said he doesn't hold a grudge. He's a great manager to play for. Yet we're going back, what, 12 years ago? Still remembers a routine ground ball snared by my second base.
Absolutely. 3-0 pitch is ball 4. So Larkin starts the 5th inning with a walk on 4 pitches. Guidry has now walked 3 in 4+ innings, and it will bring up Laudner.
We came in here, what, about 5 weeks ago or maybe 4 weeks ago when Guidry had just come back from the minor league stint, and he said he really felt that his job this year would be kind of an intermediate long man, sometimes setup man, and next year he'd worry about starting. So I would imagine he'd find himself very surprised that they did trade Joe Niekro to Minnesota, and when he thought he'd be in the bullpen, he's now starting on every 5th day. It's going to take him a while to really get in shape.
Larkin at first base.
I think also the type of ball game you're pitching in has a lot of difference. The 1-0 games, you cannot relax on any one pitch, because if you do, the score will be 2-0 or possibly 3-0.
0-1 the count. Guidry going to first base twice. If you're wondering about Larkin's speed, with Rick Rennick flashing the signs from third, I guess one indication would be when you look at his record, in 3 full seasons in the minor leagues, Larkin stole 2 bases. So Ricky Henderson, he's not.
Well, the normal leadoff first base is about 1.5 steps. If he took 1.5 steps back, he'd be in foul territory. So he has a very minimal lead over there.
High to Laudner in the count of 1-1.
But you think there'd be a tendency when a guy's been up 131 times or now 132 times, he's hit 10 home runs, you take a short lead because you figure you're not going to, you can just take a leisurely trot around the bases if he does make contact.
The Twins, I mentioned before, going more and more with Laudner of late. And Tom Kelly before the game saying that he wants to get Laudner into the lineup more often. He's using Butera on an occasional basis. In fact, Sal caught yesterday and hit a home run. But Kelly was indicating he'd like to have Butera catch Blyleven and maybe go with Laudner the rest of the time. But then again, after the All-Star break, he's going to get Tom Nieto back as well. So they'll have a lot of ways to go. It's one area in which the Twins aren't what you would call real strong, but they've got to shuffle and keep moving people in and out. And thus far, Kelly's done a pretty good job maneuvering them.
Well, I think really that's why they want Tim Laudner to catch, because he does have the only power of the 3 possible catching combinations they could use. They don't have a left-handed hitter. They traded him to the Yankees and Mark Salas. And Tom Nieto, if you go back to 1985 in the World Series that we did, was one of the reasons that the Cardinals had such a great year. He's a great receiver. Calls an excellent game.
Laudner takes inside, but this year pretty much the same as last year for the Twins, where they rotated 3 catchers. Laudner was 1. Jeff Reed, who is now with Montreal and went in the Reardon deal, is another. And the third is now on the Yankee bench, Mark Salas, who was traded over here in June.
You saw Lou Piniella lip sync where was that pitch. The worst perspective is from the bench to see where a ball looks like it's a strike, but you really can't tell the proximity of the ball when it went over to home plate. So a lot of times you'll ask the catcher or the umpire. If you ask the umpire too many times, you might not be watching the game except in your office of television.
3-2 now the count on Laudner. So you have a slow man at first base, and if you're Kelly, do you try to stay out of the double play? You've got a guy at the plate in Laudner who strikes out a lot, 35 in 132 at-bats. They send him, swung on and missed. The throw down to second is no contest. So that's the risk you run. You're trying to stay out of the double play, but if the batter doesn't make contact, it's almost an automatic double play.
Well, there's 2 excellent plays here. Guidry makes a great pitch up and in to strike out Laudner. You can see it again right here. Inside part of the plate. Throws it right by him, and then Cerrone with a quick release. All Willie Randolph has to do is get out of the way.
Which he had a tough time doing.
Yes, he did. The ball was so far up in front of the bag. Right there, makes the tag, and then catapults himself over him.
Guidry now has 2 strikeouts, in both instances Laudner, and it's a ground ball to Morocco off the bat of Lombardozzi, and the Twins are gone here in the 5th. So we'll go to the bottom of the 5th. It's still Twins 1, Yankees 1.
If you just ask for a light.
Bud Light.
Nice shot.
Heads up. So if you want the less filling light beer with the first name and taste, ask for Bud Light. Because everything else is just a light.
Mom's home.
Good food
is an expression of love, and now you can make food that tastes as if you cooked all day with Sharp's Carousel Convection Microwave. It's not just fast, it's perfect. It turns to cook evenly. It browns beautifully. For people with more love than time, Sharp Microwaves. From sharp minds come sharp products.
Get a taste of the unexpected. There's
Raisin in the middle. Kellogg's Raisin Squares. Raisin in the middle.
Kellogg's Raisin Squares.
What a taste sensation. Whole wheat. Sweetened with raisin. A combination with flair. A tasty little package.
With raisin in there.
Raisin in the middle. Naturally sweet raisin. Raisin in the middle.
Kellogg's Raisin Squares.
Raisin in the middle. Taste beyond compare.
Kellogg's Raisin Squares.
Heaven on earth.
Don't get him started about his car.
Hey, Pete, toss me the Quaker State. This new Quaker State with QSX is a miracle. It gives car-carrying people superior engine protection.
Look at the sludge other leading motor oils leave behind. New Quaker State with QSX keeps your engine cleaner to last longer.
And that means I might spend the rest of my life in heaven.
Warned you.
Your Quaker State hero. Reaching for the best.
Bottom of the fifth inning, Minnesota leading 1-0 on Tom Brunansky's first inning home run with Rick Cerrone, Wayne Thomason, and Ricky Henderson batting for the Yanks. The 8, 9, and 1 hitters. Cerrone taking outside, fly to center in the third inning. The Yankees, pretty much like the Twins, trying to find the right combination back of the plate. They had hoped that Joel Skinner would be able to do the job and gave him a shot early on, but Skinner couldn't hit a lick this year and wound up going out to Columbus. Cerrone was brought back in. Rick had been a Yankee, you'll recall, after the death of Thurman Munson, and then went on to Atlanta and Milwaukee. And then they went out and got Mark Salas, mainly for his bat for Minnesota, as Cerrone swings and misses. And the count is 2-2.
That's what happens to well-conceived plans. You get Cerrone, who's a veteran catcher that calls a good game, as your backup catcher, because you assume Joel Skinner will hit. He doesn't. And then you have to trade a guy like Niekro. It's going to give you a lot of innings for a catcher.
Brunansky will take care of Cerrone. One down, and it will bring up Wayne Thomason, who grounded out in the third inning. Coming up on Saturday will be the U.S. Senior Open Golf Championship from the Brooklawn Country Club in Fairfield, Connecticut, with the times reflected on the bottom of your screen and on ABC's Wide World of Sports Saturday. Meldrick Taylor taking on Cubanito Perez from Atlantic City, and also the USA against China in men's volleyball. Wayne Thomason at the plate. Thomason grounded out in the third inning. Frank Viola has allowed 2 hits. He has walked 3, struck out 3, and was in trouble in the third. Yankees loaded the bases with 2 down, but he got Winfield to fly to right. Behind now 2-0 on the number 9 hitter. Thomason started last season with the White Sox, and then he came over along with Ron Kittle and Joel Skinner in the deal that sent Ron Hasse, among others, to the White Sox.
Frank Viola, this is not what you'd call a lucky part for him. He pitched his first shutout back in 1982 and has not won in 6 games. So I would assume he's aware of that. I certainly knew when I did pitch well, what parks I pitched well and what I didn't.
Especially a guy who grew up in the area.
Yeah.
This is his hometown. In for a strike, and the count is 3-2. Viola, born in Hempstead, went to high school in East Meadow, attended St. John's, which is in Jamaica. In fact, he and Ron Darling had a classic college duel in the College World Series. Lombardozzi takes care of Thomason, and Ricky Henderson will be the batter with 2 down. Back in 1981 in an NCAA regional game between Yale and St. John's, it went 12 innings, and Viola beat Darling 1-0, even though Darling had a no-hitter through 11.
And we just thought Ron Darling wasn't lucky this year.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was just thinking the exact same thing. Darling's luck hasn't changed a lick. Henderson at the plate, 1 for 2. In fact, it was just a week ago yesterday. Darling had a no-hitter through 7 and a 4-0 lead against Philadelphia, and the Mets wound up losing the game. Strike. 0-1 to count on Ricky Henderson. And Tommy John will be going to the mound tomorrow. 44 years old against 42-year-old Joe Niekro.
Teaching Paul Zuvella how to pitch.
Right.
Zuvella happens to be right-handed.
Zuvella, the utility infielder.
Now I see he's dozing off there.
Yeah. Well, Zuvella's a Stanford man. He's saying, hey, what is, you went to Indiana State, Tommy. What are you trying to tell me?
That's what Tommy would have been doing in North Carolina. He had taken the job as pitching coach. See, the same luxury, excuse me, Al, that Frank Viola had with Wayne Tolleson when he got behind 3-0 and threw him 3 straight fastballs. You have to be careful here because you're looking at a tie ball game. So that's why he threw him a changeup. Not only do you have to respect Ricky Henderson once he gets on base, you have to respect the fact that he did hit 28 home runs last year. One of those rare breeds of a guy that not only can steal bases but hit the ball for power and average.
Pitches. 3-2 now. Full count on Ricky with 2 down, and Randolph on deck. One run, 1 hit for the Twins. Brunansky's homer. No runs, 2 hits for the Yankees. Slice down the line, back out of play. Henderson with a very odd combination. Very infrequently do you see a guy with X number of home runs and less than twice as many RBIs. He has 10 homers, but only 18 runs batted in all season.
That does say something for the Yankees' catching inabilities, catcher's inability to hit.
It tells you something about the bottom of the order.
Yes.
Henderson is on, so Ricky draws the walk. Viola, normally with great control, has walked 4 already tonight in 4 1/3 or 4 2/3 innings.
But you have a tendency to do that. You don't obviously like to do it early in the ball game to get into big inning situations, but in a 1-0 ball game, and Frank Viola, just as Ron Guidry realizes, each other are pitching very well. What you're going to do occasionally pitch around somebody, and right there, instead of throwing Henderson a 3-2 fastball in the middle of the plate, ball that he can handle well, you try to make the perfect pitch, and he missed. So consequently, you're going to walk a few more batters.
Henderson gets picked off. Hrbek to Gagne and back to Hrbek to take care of Ricky. So Ricky gets caught leaning the other way, and the Yankees are gone just like that here in the bottom of the 5th inning. And Viola with a good move and hangs Henderson out to dry. And so the Twins will come up in the 6th inning, still ahead, 1-0.
The best Bond is back. Sean Connery in Thunderball Saturday.
Things aren't always what they seem. Think this looks like a good defensive play? Look again. It's the immaculate reception I caught to beat Oakland in the AFC playoffs. I'm Franco Harris. If this looks like a typical imported beer, look again. It's Barbican, the non-alcoholic brew with just 50 calories, enjoyed more and more around the world. So if it looks, tastes, and satisfies like a great beer, but it doesn't have the alcohol, look again. It's Barbican.
Can you become addicted to someone you love? I'm Bob Bruce, and on the next Twin Cities Live, we'll talk with men and women who say yes. They've each been in an unhealthy love relationship and had trouble turning it around. They felt controlled by their love addiction and didn't know how to kick the habit. You'll have a chance to meet psychologist Brenda Schaefer, who says love addiction can become as strong as addiction to drugs or alcohol. When love turns to addiction, Tuesday morning at 9, right after Good Morning America on Channel 5.
A lot of secrets in this town, in this county, are about to be told.
I have never put any pressure on Mr. Fisher at any time to lower any values on any of my property.
If you're here to harass the board, then they're really out of order, and that's it.
Some of our elected public officials and public officials feel they have a license to steal.
Hello, I'm Tom Garrison. Join me for Trouble in River City, a 5 Inside investigation beginning Tuesday night at 10.
Mark Sapelsa and Angela Astor on Minnesota's News Channel.
1-0 Twins with Ricky Henderson picked off, ending the bottom of the 5th inning.
We talked about Frank Viola being the most difficult Twins pitcher to steal on. Here he holds the ball. Henderson commits himself, and then you get the rundown, and they run it perfectly. Right back to Hrbek for the tag.
Greg Gagne, the number 9 hitter, to start things in the 6th. Strike. Gagne was originally signed by the Yankees. He was drafted by the Yanks in '79, and then oddly he was part of a deal in 1982 where he went from the Yankees to Minnesota, and Roy Smalley went from Minnesota to New York. Smalley now back with the Twins, of course, and Gagne's teammate. 1-1. So Greg has taken over at shortstop. He became the Twins' regular shortstop in 1985. Last year hit a respectable .250. And this year, I suppose, for a number 9 hitter, you could call .247 semi-respectable.
Well, he's out there for his defense.
There's no doubt about that, but if you can get a number 9 hitter with a good glove and a guy who hits, let's say, .250 for you, .255, like a Tollison is doing for the Yankees this year. In a way, we talked about the similarity between these two teams in the catching department, and in a way as well at shortstop.
Gagne with a little more power. As you said, 12 home runs last year.
He's one guy who did benefit from the Metrodome. We talked about Gaetti before, having hit more homers on the road than at home, but Gagne hit 10 of those 12 in Minneapolis. That's unfair. Only Harry Carey's allowed to do that. 1-2 pitch is a little squiver foul. Look at this. This looks like Montauk. Where are the halibut? What's going on up there? I wonder if they throw any back. Bolt leaves tomorrow at 5:30. 1-2 to Gagne. Fouled away. Gladden on deck. And then Puckett.
Should be duly noted that Guidry is pitching a marvelous game. 1 hit, which happened to be the Bernansky home run. So I'm very impressed with the way Ron's moving the ball in and out, changing speeds well. And as you see right there, has pretty good velocity. I was, I think, somewhat, I don't know, at least question the fact that Guidry 9 and 12 last year would just come back to be the same type of pitcher.
Drive to left field, going back into the corner. On the warning track is Henderson to snap it away. 1 gone. Another air out.
Well, as we said, a lot of room in left field. High slider, belt high. That's what they call a hanging slider. Just spins more than breaks sharply. You can see Guidry looking at it with some interest because the ball was hit pretty well, but it did stay in the ballpark.
1 down, and Dan Gladden is the batter. He's 0 for 2 tonight. He has a 7-game hitting streak. Funny thing about Gladden, he might still be a Giant were it not for the fact that the drug involvement of Eddie Milner did not come about until after the Giants had traded Gladden. Dan was going to be probably the number 5 outfielder at San Francisco. And as the number 5 outfielder, he was expendable. But when Milner went into drug rehab, that shocked the Giants in the sense that they had already dealt Gladden. Otherwise, Gladden would have been the number 4 outfielder, and they probably would have kept him.
Well, as we said, he can do a lot of things for you, and you don't really find that many outfielders or really utility-type players that can do that. Imagine back in '84 when he hit 391 at Phoenix and then 351 in a short stint with the Giants. They must have really felt they had a find, and here he is in another uniform.
Well, he became expendable because of Jeffrey Leonard and Chili Davis, and especially when Candy Maldonado proved that he could play every day. Gladden takes inside and low, and the count is 2 balls and 2 strikes. One out, bases empty, 6th inning. To left field, and that's the 3rd time tonight that Henderson has snapped one away off the bat of Dan Gladden. So 2 down. Well, if you believe in omens, look at this. The Yankees have never lost a pennant or division title after holding a lead of 5 games or more anytime after the 1st of July. Never in their long and glorious history, and they'll try to keep that streak alive in 1987 because they are 5 games up on the 6th of July. Puckett takes a strike.
But Lou Piniella keeps reminding me every time I see him, it's not going to be easy. I congratulate him on the fact that they went through a stretch where they played the Eastern teams about 26 times without Henderson and Mattingly.
Morocco takes it off the bat of Puckett and throws Kirby out. So Guidry's done a job on Puckett tonight. The center fielder is 0 for 3. Still 1-0 Twins after 5½.
I'd rather have hamburger A Wendy's hamburger served fresh, or hamburger B where there's a cold side and a hot side. And the cold side's kept cold by putting it under a heating unit. Oh, wait a minute. There's a cold side. And they put it under a heating unit. Put the heating unit here. And the cold side stays cold. Okay, that much we know.
Are you making this up?
See, no. Okay, this is a hamburger.
Wouldn't you choose the fresh hamburger? Choose Wendy's.
Hello. Ed's advertising book says when we sponsor sports, our ads will be better if we talk the language of the fan. So I will try to do that. Run down to the store for a 4-pack of Ed's new Bartles & James Premium Red Wine Cooler. It is not only a big hit, but when you buy Bartles & James, you cannot make an error. Well, while I realize these technical terms may be confusing to people who don't know baseball, I hope this makes sense to the fan. Thank you for your support.
Ooh, Walter, you've got energy from 100% whole wheat. Wheaties energy. Four-tailed all-out good whole wheat. Now go tell your mama what the big boys eat.
Need a new muffler for your older car?
Midas size.
They've got mufflers for older cars you don't plan on keeping forever.
Yeah.
Midas-size your older car and get it right the first time.
Willie Randolph to come up in the bottom of the 6th inning. I asked him about his future and specifically about the possibility of managing.
Well, that's something I've thought about lately. You know, I love the game. It's in my blood. It's hard not to think about it now because of the fact that I think I have a lot of good years ahead of me. But maybe someday I might consider that. I think that it's a possibility.
Would you do anything different in the waning years of your career then? Would you be counseled more by the coaches and hang around a little, Lou Piniella in the dugout a little bit more than you have in the past?
I might hang out with Lou a little bit more. He's getting better and better every day, and I've had some good experience with some great managers, Billy Martin and on down the line. So, you know, keeping your head involved in the game and communicating with the players, I think, is the most important thing. So, you know, I'm always involved, so it can't hurt.
Willie Randolph talking about the future. In his immediate past was a fly ball to Puckett for the first out. in the bottom of the 6th inning. So 1 up and 1 down, and Don Mattingly is the batter, who's fly to left and drawn a walk.
Not only a good player, but a class gentleman.
And it's a shame in a way that a guy like a Willie Randolph would have his career year, and it's been that for him. And he's had a fine career, but he's had a tremendous first half. And yet he will probably wind up on the bench at the All-Star game.
But he should be there.
Yeah. Strike. There he is, a man who started his career, you might recall, with Pittsburgh. And he was expendable in the early 70s because the Pirates thought they had Rennie Stennett to play second base for the next 15 years. Didn't turn out that way. To shallow center, and Gagne makes the catch. So Mattingly is gone. Don 0 for 2 tonight. Quickly 2 down, and Dave Winfield is the batter, and we'll update the scoreboard. Kansas City leads Cleveland 6-5 in the 8th inning. Toronto trying to snap an 8-game losing streak, leads Texas 6-2 in the 8th. Baltimore leading the White Sox 2-1 in the 7th. The Orioles have dropped 30 of 35. And the other games in the American League are all out on the West Coast in Seattle, Anaheim, and Oakland, and not underway yet. Winfield is 0 for 2. Strike. 0-1.
Good old-fashioned hardball, and just about every paper I read now, they're talking about the dearth of fastball pitchers in the major leagues. But what's made Frank Viola and Ron Guidry successful tonight is they have established their fastball and then shown the other 2 or 3 pitches they have. Once you do that, you make the hitter have some respect for your fastball. He has to be a little bit quicker. When he does that, he's more susceptible to the breaking ball.
Two out, bases empty. Still 1-0 Twins on Brunansky's first inning home run. And it's 1-2. Gary Ward would be next if Winfield keeps it going in the bottom of the 6th inning. There he is. In the bottom of the 6th inning. 4 Ks for Viola. On to the 7th. 1-0 Twins.
It was so simple. Really. A direct electrical charge here heats up the carbonized filament here, which in turn excites the gases trapped in here. And voila.
Well, it's very nice, Thomas. But I wanted a Bud Light.
If you want the great taste of Bud Light, ask for it.
Don't feel bad, Thomas. It's not a complete loss.
Bud Light, because everything else is just a light.
There's a whole new animal waiting for you. The 88 fuel-injected Chevy with more cab room than Ford or Dodge. The most powerful standard engine in half-ton pickups. And up to 7 coats of rust protection, topped by a new clear coat finish. The new full-size Chevy pickup. It's a whole new animal.
The heartbeat of America. That's the day Chevy truck.
Once and for all, who gives you the best savings in long distance nationwide?
U.S. Sprint, may I help you?
That's right, U.S. Sprint. You can save as much as 10, 20, even 30% versus AT&T on your long-distance calls.
Yes, that's right.
And you'll be signing up with the company that's building the first and only 100% digital fiber optic network clear across America. Now, how do you start getting the best overall savings? Well, you've got to call.
U.S. Sprint, may I help you?
ABC's Monday Night Baseball is being brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. Al Michaels and Jim Palmer in New York. Yankee Stadium, most pleasant night. 1-0 Twins as we go to the 7th inning. And Tom Brunansky, who's the difference in the game, hits the first pitch sharply to Morocco, and the rookie third baseman throws him out. One pitch, one down, and Gary Gaetti will be the batter. You know, all things considered, things have been pretty quiet around Yankee Stadium, especially in contrast to Shea this year. There was a flap, though, yesterday. Many of you, I'm sure, read about it. George Steinbrenner on Face the Nation on CBS referred to his 30-year-old accountant as a young black boy. And that created somewhat of a stir around here. But as Steinbrenner was to say later, I've always referred to my team as the varsity and to my players and the younger members of the front office as my boys and girls, and I'm not about to change for anybody. And as Gaetti takes a half swing and a miss, John Thompson, the Georgetown coach, was also on the show, and he said, you know, and he's right, sometimes we get caught up in the terminology more than we get caught up in the facts that pertain to it. And the only reason we bring it up is because I'm sure many of you have read about it in varying shapes and forms today. In fact, it's interesting to note USA Today gave it one paragraph. The New York Times gave it a little box with maybe 5 paragraphs on page 20. And then there's the New York Post, which gave it slightly more play than this morning's invasion of Earth by Mars. Gaetti gone on strikes. 2 down.
First baseman.
And Kent Hrbek is the batter. Hrbek flied out, hit into a double play. And it's a high, towering drive to deep right field. Winfield climbs the fence, but can't make the catch. It's gone. Ken Hrbek has homered for the 3rd consecutive game. He has 23 for the season, and Minnesota leads 2-0.
Well, the same pitch that Gary Gaetti struck out on, Ken Hrbek takes right out of the Yankee Stadium. Slider up in the strike zone, and see you later. Take another angle of the swing. Very compact, full extension. I talked to Ken today. I said, what do you weigh? He said 250 pounds.
Larkin takes a strike. I thought he'd been on a diet.
He has. He used to weigh 270. I don't know. I just say that jokingly. He said he weighed 250 today.
He said he earlier this year, or I guess before spring training, he said he went on a diet because he didn't want to look like a pig on his baseball card. Randolph throws Larkin out. Well, he only looks like a pig to the Yankees here in the 7th as he hits homer number 23, and it's 2-0 Minnesota.
Where does it hurt?
Here.
For indigestion, heartburn, and gas, nobody does as much as Maalox Plus. Dose for dose, it neutralizes more than any regular strength antacid and dissolves gas. Nobody does as much as Maalox Plus.
Wake up! I could run off the road and you wouldn't know the difference.
I can't stay awake.
Here, revive with Vivarin.
Vivarin?
Helps wake you up.
Government-appointed experts confirm it's safe, effective.
Revive with Vivarin.
When a family moves, State Farm is there.
I'm State Farm agent Bob Scatina. This family, the Nilsons, just moved into town. They said it took them a while to find a new doctor and a new dentist, but finding a new insurance agent was easy. They liked the way their State Farm agent back in Montana handled all their family insurance, so all they had to do was look for this sign. And you could find one almost anywhere.
And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
I keep telling Don that basketball is the best sport for fans. We give them the fast break, the slam dunk, and the 3-point shot.
Nah, baseball's the best sport for fans. We give them the squeeze play, the grand slam, even the ball if they catch it.
But we both agree on one thing. We care about our fans' lives.
So before the game, line up a designated driver so we all get home safe.
Hey, I know the best sport.
Oh, yeah? What?
Me, the designated driver.
Yeah.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Eldrick Taylor, he won an Olympic gold medal. Now he faces his toughest test as a pro. Plus a volleyball spectacular, all on ABC's Wide World of Sports, Saturday.
No doubt Palmer's daughters are amongst those in attendance tonight at Yankee Stadium. Well, you'll be eligible when, in 1989?
Yes.
Unless you go back.
No, I left that to Tom. Tom Seaver, of course.
To Tom Seaver.
Yes.
But
now, does that mean I belong in Cooperstown instead of the booth, or what do you think that means, Al?
I will leave the interpretation
to our viewing public. Because I know how you feel about it.
bottom of the 7th inning, and Gary Ward to lead off. Even if you go back to the field, you're going to be in the booth anyway. I mean, how many times did we work together when you were an active player?
That's true.
1-1. I mean, I'm thinking about it as a moonlight job for you. 1 ball and 1 strike to count on Ward. One hopper to Gary Gaetti, who was shortened up and close to the line at third, with a 2-run lead in the 7th inning. And with 1 down, we'll take a look at Claudell Washington.
One of the things you talked about in the opening was, do I think that Minnesota has a chance to stay competitive in the American League West? And they do, but with a visiting, or I guess, how should we call this, on the road record of 17-23, and the best record at home at 29-13, they are going to have to improve their record on the road. If you've ever seen a game play in the Metrodome, it's a strange way to play baseball. High ceiling. Apparently the turf doesn't bounce as high as it before, but it's an entirely different type of baseball. They're very adept at playing there, but they're going to have to win on the road to win the American League West.
1 ball, 1 strike to count as Washington hammers it into center field for a base hit. So Claudell, the left-handed DH against the lefty, has accounted for 2/3 of the Yankee hit total.
If you're left-handed, you have a tendency to bail out, but he just fights it right off. He does not move an inch, just tommyhawks it right up the middle. Good piece of hitting. It's not a ball. If I was going to characterize Claudell Washington, I would say he's a low ball hitter, but he took a ball just about, really, I guess, almost eye level and hammered it right up the middle for a base hit.
Jeff Moronco now, the rookie who is 1 for 4 as a Yankee and 0 for 2 tonight. 1-0 the count.
I think if you went down and talked to Frank Viola, who might, the kid or the guy that might give him the most trouble, he would probably say it's Jeff Moronco, because he doesn't know how to pitch to him. He's never pitched to him before. They could give you all the scouting reports in the world, but the key is to know what pitch he's going to hit for the long ball, where his power is. And until you really face a guy, you don't know that. Pretty close play there. We talked about Claudell Washington coming off a groin injury, but he has the ability to steal.
Two and 0 the count. Moronco with some power. He had 11 home runs in 65 games at Columbus prior to his call-up last week. And was hitting .264 in AAA. 2-1.
Reminds me a lot at the plate of Larry Parrish, having an outstanding year for Texas. Stands the same way.
Parrish, who was in here yesterday and hit a home run here yesterday.
Well, the ball was jetting out to right center. The 385 sign, it was flying out of here.
Yeah, you're right. That's his stance. That also looks like a double play. Lombardozzi throws it to first. No, not in time. Ball slowed up a bit. Gagne had to wait for it. And Lombardozzi not turning it over in time, and Morocco able to leg it safely down the line.
So take a look at Claudell Washington. You will see him get to second base just as Lombardozzi does. Right there, just enough of a deterrence to maybe slow down the throw. So you keep the inning alive. Very important job. That's your job as the first base runner, to get down there as quick as you can to keep a double play from being completed.
And Morocco, the runner at first, has good speed. He stole 23 bases at Oklahoma City last year. Rick Cerrone takes outside, ball 1-0. Cerrone has flied out twice. He's hitting .203.
Rick is a gap hitter, not much of a home run hitter. About the only ball he's really going to jerk is a slow breaking ball or a changeup. But he does have the ability to hit the ball up the left center and right center field gaps, especially the ball out over the plate.
Frank Viola trying to win a game in Yankee Stadium for the first time since his rookie year. Tom Kelly, a native Minnesotan. Even though Kelly was born in the Gopher State, he left when he was a baby, grew up, and still lives in New Jersey. The count on Rick Cerrone, who's taking all the way, and it's 2-1.
Frank Viola coming off an outstanding start against Kansas City last week, where he struck out 10. The only runs he gave up were the 3-run opposite field home run by George Brett. That's certainly been done before.
Yeah, that was one of the strangest looking home runs I'd ever seen. Last week, Brett, that 3-run shot in Kansas City, he hit it right down the left field line. Little curling, looping fly ball that wound up in the first row right next to the foul pole.
They count.
Yeah, they sure do.
Well, that's the Charlie Lau theory. The ball's up and away, you hit it down the left field line. If you try to pull it, it's a ground ball to second base. It certainly worked for George Brett.
And the Scrooge works here for Frank Viola. Turns it over, strikes Cerrone out.
The winds of change are blowing at today's Chevrolet 88 Corsica. A new front-wheel drive sports sedan engineered to exacting standards and designed to give you years of trouble-free driving. All wrapped in the smoothest Chevrolet sedan ever built. Corsica.
That's today's Chevrolet. I got a feeling for my hometown. I know the streets, I know my way around.
At Century 21, we've never forgotten how we started out. And even though today we bring more buyers and sellers together than any other real estate system, even though we've become the #1 home selling system in America, we still do it one home at a time.
I got a feeling for my hometown.
Century 21, the hometown advantage.
Tums is one antacid that can really handle heartburn. It's a lot stronger than the #2 brand.
That's one good reason we use Tums. And Tums happens to be rich in calcium.
That's the second good reason.
Listen to the sound of a closer, smoother shave. Williams Electric Shave sets up my beard, so my shaver shaves closer, and I get a smoother shave. Listen to Williams Electric Shave. The sound of a closer, smoother shave.
Exceptionally smooth.
In the night.
The night belongs to Michelob.
Brett Saberhagen, who's pitching on 3 days rest, will not get his 15th. Corey Snyder has hit a grand slam homer in the 8th inning off Steve Farr. Cleveland leads KC 9-6. Saberhagen is the pitcher of record. Toronto trying to snap an 8-game losing streak, and Baltimore leading Chicago. Laudner leads off in the 8th inning by hitting a fly ball to Ricky Henderson. One away. One pitch, one out, and Lombardozzi is the batter. He has walked and grounded out. One of these days, you know what's going to happen, right? The ball's going to wind up in the seats.
Either that or he's going to snap his glove so quickly it's going to hit him in the brim of the hat. Did not have that flair when he first came up with Oakland. He was an awfully good outfielder.
Some flair, but not that much. In for a strike and the count 0-1. But a lot of guys have snapped at pop-ups. Pete Rose did it for years. Not quite to that extreme.
And of course there was the famous where he bounced the ball after the inning is over.
Not on grass. 0-2 the count. In the Twins bullpen, the one-time Yankee George Frazier. But the way things are going right now, Frazier's just down there getting in a little work on the side.
Well, this is
we're to the point where Reardon would be the key.
Well,
if they have to go to the bullpen.
In the olden days when I pitched, my manager Earl Weaver used to what we call scare tactics. You know, Frazier's not having a bad year as far as record-wise at 5-3, but his earned run average is close to 6 runs a game. He's given up almost 43 hits in 45 innings with 32 walks. So he's had about 75 runners in 45 innings. That'll make you throw a little bit harder if you're out on the mound when they get somebody like that up.
Lombardozzi called strike 3, and that's number 4 for Ron Guidry.
Let's go back to 1978, and when Guidry was 25-3. Look at this slider, right on the inside corner. This gives up on it, but the umpire does it.
2 down. Ron Guidry pitching a near masterpiece. He's made 2 mistakes. Those are the only hits for the Twins. The homers by Brunansky and Herbeck. Strike.
Really, and I would only classify the home run by Herbeck a mistake because it was a hanging slider. Because Brunansky, you want him to hit the ball the other way because his power is usually to center field or left field. But he's just so strong, and whether the ball is going farther or not, who knows? After the USA Today article where they said the ball was not more lively this year. I really think it has a lot to do with the strike zone. Strike zone has become so much more concise. Let's take a look at Frank Viola, hoping for more runs.
And one of the men who provided it is right there as well. That's Herbeck and Smalley behind him. No balls, 2 strikes the count. 2 out and the base is empty. And Gagne becomes strikeout victim number 5. So Guidry pitching a beauty through 7 1/2, but he's on the short end. 2-0 Minnesota.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Longer.
You know what this party needs? Spuds McKenzie.
Super party animal. Come on, baby, do it now, Spuds McKenzie. His name is Spuds McKenzie. Oh, party, party. With the party ship in sight. A cold light. Puts him in a party frenzy.
Spuds McKenzie parties right with only Bud Light. He knows everything else is just a light.
Go, Spuds, go.
Spuds gives motion to the ocean.
Okay, thanks. My insurance rep says go with the GM parts.
Great. You'd be surprised how many imitation parts are around.
Really?
I always assumed GM fenders were replaced with GM fenders. Turns out there are all kinds of imitation parts, and some don't even come close to GM specs for fit, finish, and corrosion protection. So remember, even if an insurance company is paying, it's still your car, and it's still your choice. Insist on genuine General Motors parts.
In rural Minnesota, the local radio station offers the only contact for far-flung neighbors. And tonight after baseball, you'll see what happens when the station's plug is pulled and the listeners are cut off.
Later this evening, following Nightline Monday Sports Night, Paul Newman will be a guest. Billie Jean King, also cyclist Greg LeMond. recovering from his accident and ready to resume competition. And also a special look at arena football on Monday Sports Night tonight. Bottom of the 8th inning, 2-0 Twins. Wayne Tollison takes the strike. Tollison, then to Henderson and Randolph. Frank Viola, who last pitched the shutout last October against Chicago. Drive to right center field. Bernansky moving over, though, and makes the catch for the out. 1 up and 1 down, and Ricky Henderson, who is 1 for 2 plus a walk, will be the batter. Viola, with a victory tonight, would even his lifetime record. He would be 70-70.
Gets a statement of what kind of quality ball club you play for. The Twins have struggled over the last few years. But here we're looking at a guy tonight that won 18 games in '84, 18 games in '85, and 16 last year. So this is a quality pitcher, and he certainly showed us why.
And who goes to the mound and never misses a turn. When you look at Viola's record, he made 34 starts in '83, 35 in '84, 36 in '85, 37 in '86. So he is out there every 5th day. And a man who will be out there tomorrow, shoulder permitting, is Joe Niekro, who had to miss a couple of turns. He was injured in that recent brawl between the Twins and the Milwaukee Brewers. But he pitched last week. However, he is somewhat of a question mark. In fact, Tom Kelly was saying one of the reasons he was going to hold Juan Berenguer back tonight was that if Niekro was unable to make it to the post tomorrow night, Berenguer would be the starter against Tommy John. Ripped into left for a base hit. It's the 3rd time Henderson has been on. The last time he reached, he was picked off. And Willie Randolph is the batter.
Pretty predictable pitch, 2-1. You have a 2-run lead. You don't want to walk Henderson, so you want to throw him a strike. Threw him a high fastball. He jumped all over it. Lined it into left field.
Willie Randolph hitting .320. 4 homers, 47 RBIs. 0-1 the count. Toronto beat Texas 6-4. Jimmy Key wins his 9th. George Bell hit home run number 28, and so the Blue Jay losing streak is snapped at 8. They began the night 5 back and in a virtual tie with Detroit for 2nd behind the Yanks. One and one.
We'll see him running here, Al. No way you want to run yourself out of an inning with Mattingly on deck.
And especially for the reasons we outlined before, Viola does such a great job keeping him close, and Ricky is just not 100%. I mean, that was evident watching him in this weekend's games with Texas.
He really hasn't run in about 6 weeks, but before the hamstring injury, he had a shoulder problem, which precluded him from really swinging, or excuse me, diving head first. So.
Talking about diving head first. Well, the crowd, after giving him a 5, a 5.5, and a 6.5. I guess he could have held back. Especially since he came from the upper deck. 1 ball, 2 strikes the count on Randolph. Henderson, a very short lead, not going anywhere as Randolph fouls it away on a check swing. 1 and 2. 2 runs, 2 hits for the Twins. No runs, 4 hits for the Yankees in an errorless game. Brunansky hit a home run in the first. Hrbek hit a home run in the 7th. And that's been the scoring.
You can certainly call Frank Viola's pitches from if you were on second base, because that was a palm ball or a changeup, and he holds it. Normally when you're pitching, you usually go to change your grip as you go to the top of your stretch, but he had the ball already set in his hand. But of course you have to be on second base, and Henderson's on first, so he can't help out Willie Randolph.
And he strikes him out, which is no small accomplishment. Two down.
Only the 19th time, throws him another changeup, swings right over the top of it. Not only does the ball a different speed, you throw it with the same arm action. The hitter sees fastball, the ball gets there much slower, and he swings right over it.
Willie Randolph, as you say, 19 strikeouts, which means a little bit more than once a week. Mattingly takes outside, ball 1, 1-0. Don hitting the ball in the air both times tonight, to left and to short. Two down.
No slouch against lefters. Last year hit .358, out hit himself against left-handers than he did right-handed pitching. So percentage baseball really does not apply to a guy of this quality. 238 hits last year. If you make a mistake on the inside part of the plate, this game's going to be tied. This is the type of hitter that looks for that pitch.
And he grounds it sharply, knocked down by Viola, and Frank helped himself. Otherwise, it was a base hit to center. No runs, a single by Henderson, and they strand Ricky. And we'll go to the 9th inning in New York with the Twins leading the Yankees 2-0. And we'll be back after this word from your local station.
Are we prepared to fight in the Persian Gulf? The Jennings-Koppel Report, Tuesday.
Things aren't always what they seem. Think this looks like a good defensive play? Look again. It's the immaculate reception I caught to beat Oakland in the AFC playoffs. If this looks like a typical imported beer, look again. It's Barbican, a non-alcoholic brew with just 50 calories, enjoyed more and more around the world. So if it looks, tastes, and satisfies like a great beer, but it doesn't have alcohol, look again. It's Barbican. Look for valuable coupons in your newspaper and save on Barbican.
Racing on the water, just you and me. Running wild, running free. Run, 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 Kawasaki.
Jet Ski Watercraft by Kawasaki. The ultimate water pistol.
Fly across the water on a jumping jet. Kawasaki gets the good times wet. Fun, 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 Kawasaki.
See your local Kawasaki dealer today.
Hi, I just moved in next door. Could I borrow a Diet Pepsi?
Sure.
Yes.
Be right with you.
When you go all out for taste, the taste to go out for is Diet Pepsi.
You okay in there?
Here's your Diet Pepsi.
Thanks. I hope it wasn't too much trouble.
No trouble at all.
Diet Pepsi, the choice of a new generation.
It's a new morning lineup on Channel 5 beginning Monday morning at 9.
The Mets and Braves doing a lot of waiting around in Atlanta tonight. Rain falling again following an earlier 2-hour and 15-minute delay. They did get 1 inning in, and Dale Murphy breaks out of a 4-for-39 slump with this 2-run shot off of Sid Fernandez. His 25th homer for the year, now even with Jack Clark in the National League home run race.
And at Yankee Stadium, as we start the 9th inning, Twins ahead 2-0. Dan Gladden, who 3 times has flied to left field. Gladden, Puckett, and Brunansky. Ron Guidry has faced 3 men over the minimum tonight. He's given up 2 hits, both homers, and he's on the short end of a 2-0 count. It's not the way you want to have a guy complete a game, but Guidry is on the verge of giving the Yankees their first CG since the 10th of May.
He's also on the verge of doing what he was supposed to do, which is to give them a lot of innings. And ultimately, it could be 9, and also keep them in the ball game.
Well, that would be the bright light on an otherwise dismal night if the Yankees go down 2-0, to know that Ron Guidry pitched the way he did at Toronto last week, pitched the way he has tonight, which augurs well down the stretch for New York. Gladden grounds it to deep short, backhanded by Tolleson, who throws him out. 1 away. Wayne Tolleson going to the hole to take care of the Twins' leadoff hitter, and it will bring up Kirby Puckett.
Well, this play is a lot Wayne Tolleson, also the slow infield grass. He knows he has the time, even though Gladden runs fairly well. Mattingly with the nice grab for the out. Made it look very routine, didn't he?
And that could be the end of Gladden's short hitting streak at 7. Kirby Puckett hitless tonight. Drives one down the line in right field and into the corner, and curling and foul. Foul ball. So Kirby coming back. I guess the final tabulations will be announced in a day or two as far as the American League is concerned, and Puckett could very well be getting another start in center field in the All-Star game.
Well, one of the strongest men in baseball. It's a high breaking ball and just pops it down the right field line. Almost ends up being a home run. And this is the year where if you talk to most pitchers in either league, that's a purpose pitch. If the guy hits your breaking ball and he's hovering over the plate, you got to throw him something inside to get him off the plate. That's something that a lot of pitchers don't do. And see that same at Viola. His 3 complete games this year have been losses, so it's not a good year for complete games, at least not with these 2 pitchers.
That used to be some sort of symbol of success in a way. It's almost become the opposite.
CGLs, complete game losses. Well, and also if you do it on the road, you only have to pitch 8 innings.
Exactly.
So the method to the madness there.
One hopper, Morocco. Over to Mattingly, 2 down. Brunansky coming up, and when the Yankees come up in the bottom of the 9th inning, due up are Winfield, Ward, and Washington, the 4, 5, and 6 hitters.
Really, what it comes down to, Al, is you never like to lose, but what you try to do for a large percentage of the time is go out there, keep your team in the game, give them an opportunity to win the ball game. Both Viola and Guidry have done that. Viola's just done a little bit better.
Brunansky fouls it away, and the count is 0-1.
Sure, Guidry is looking back to last Monday night's game where they scored 15 runs. And Mark Connor, the pitching coach of the Yankees, said, well, of course we should have won. We held them to 2 touchdowns. 15-14.
1-1 on Brunansky. The Twins proving they are a resilient club. Minnesota lost a 4-game series at Texas as Brunansky hits one into left field for a base hit. With 2 down, Gaetti will be coming up, but they dropped a 4-game series in Texas last weekend, then dropped 3 out of 4 to Kansas City. So this was a team that had to be thinking, hey, you know, what's going on here? We have been playing pretty well, but then they go home and they sweep Baltimore and come in here to New York.
They feasted on the Orioles. And of course, I really wondered how well they were playing. The Orioles, as you said, 30 out of 35 losses. It's not really a great barometer whether you're playing that well or not, but then again, great pitching will make you look awfully good, and that's what's the case tonight. Viola overpowering, great command of all his pitches so far.
And homers by Brunansky and Herbeck, and it's 2-0 Minnesota with 2 out. Viola looking ahead to the bottom of the 9th inning. Brunansky goes. The pitch is a strike. The throw down to second on a bounce isn't there in time, and Bruno has a steal.
That's his 8th stolen base of the year, but he's already been thrown out 6 times. So again, Guidry, not a great move. running right on the first move. See it right there. Goodry's in the process of throwing it home. Brunansky, not great speed, but not a particularly good throw either by Cerrone.
Brunansky close to tight end size, but with 8 this year, and he had 12 last year.
He said he'll be into the 20s this year. Well, that's the one thing about Tom Kelly. The percentage of stolen bases is not that good for the Twins, but they have been running a lot. If you wanted to characterize Tom Kelly, he is not exactly a conventional type of manager.
Cleveland has beaten Kansas City 9-7, and thus, if the Twins hold on, they'd be alone on top by a game in the AL West. And the Yankees would see their lead shaved to 4 by Toronto, and then we'll have to find out about Detroit later. They're on the coast.
Well, I just have one thing to say. If they move Brett Saberhagen up one day, give him 1 day less rest so he can pitch in the All-Star game, that's a good way to lose a pennant. Because I've always been an advocate of you should take 12 pitchers and let them each pitch an inning. So if they pitch on Sunday, it doesn't really make any difference. But the most important thing for the Kansas City Ball Club is to get Saberhagen out there on his regular day and to get him to pitch in the All-Star game, even though the All-Star game is a very important game for fans, for the pension fund, and so forth. It's not that hard to pitch with only 3 days rest if you do it on a regular basis. But ask the guy to do it after he hasn't done it all year. We saw the result. Very Saberhagen-like performance.
2-2 pitch. Little sliver hit back to the Gator, and Ron throws him out to retire the side. And so the Yankees, with Winfield, Ward, and Washington, come up in the ninth, 2-0 Twins.
Around here, raisins are big business. So when Kellogg started putting 2 scoops of raisins in the Raisin Bran, I knew we had problems. It's simple. The law of raisins. You put 2 scoops in each box. You sell more boxes. Bam! Raisin shortage. I respect Kellogg's, but that's a lot of raisins. You know what I tell people? You got a backyard? Plant raisins.
Fiber-rich Kellogg's Raisin Bran. 2 scoops is a lot of raisins.
Only you.
Just because you've washed your car doesn't mean you're finished. After each wash, you need some Armor All on the dash, the bumper, and especially the tires. Armor All. It's the finishing touch every time you wash your car.
You're my dream.
And now, introducing Clean Start, the new cleaner which safely removes tough dirt. Clean Start, only from Armor All products.
Tonight on Monday Sports Night, screen star and race car driver Paul Newman. Billie Jean King returns from Wimbledon. A look at arena football and more tonight on ABC's Monday Sports Night.
At Yankee Stadium in New York, Al Michaels along with Jim Palmer. Bottom of the 9th inning, Twins 2, Yankees nothing. And Frank Viola, 3 outs away from a shutout, will try to wade through the 3 W's. Winfield, Ward, and Washington. And again, a welcome to those of you watching the Dodgers and the Cardinals as we get set for the bottom of the 9th inning, and the biggest banner I've ever seen emerges, or at least in the lower deck. We're on our way, it said. Frank Viola would like to send them on their way home. 2-0 Minnesota on a first-inning homer by Tom Brunansky and a 7th inning home run by Ken Hrbek. Frank Viola has allowed 4 hits through 8. Winfield is 0 for 3 and hits it off the end of the bat up the first baseline, and Hrbek can't make the sweep tag.
the guy leading the Yankees in walks swings away on the first pitch, tops it, and is safe at first.
So Viola got him to hit his pitch as he did the first time Winfield came up in the first inning on a little soft grounder to the right side. But this time Winfield able to beat it out. Hrbek had no play.
Well, you saw in the replay, Viola just falls off the other way enough so he can't possibly get there, and it's really a ball in the Bermuda Triangle. Nobody can get to it except Hrbek, and there's no chance to make the tag on Winfield.
Gary Ward now has struck out twice and grounded out. And he hits it toward the hole. Backhanded by Gagne. Nice play at second. Lombardozzi for the putout. So Gagne going to his right and cutting down Winfield for the force. One gone.
A possible double play ball, but because Gagne is playing Ward up the middle, he knows he only has one play. Plants his right foot. Perfect throw to Lombardozzi at second for the force out. What you call getting the sure out.
Claudell Washington now. Dan Schatziner and Jeff Reardon are throwing in the Minnesota bullpen. Hrbek at first base can play behind Ward. Gary's not going to be going anywhere. Outfield fanned out for Washington, who looks at a strike, and the count is 0-1. 2 runs, 3 hits for the Twins. No runs, 5 hits for the Yankees. Guidry was outstanding tonight, but Viola's been better. And Washington takes low, 1-1 the count. Lou Piniella watched his team shut out on Friday in a first game of a doubleheader against Texas, 9-0. The Yankees and Rangers split that 4-game series, and they've drawn a blank thus far tonight. 1-1 to Washington. Hit sharply. It is a foul ball. Foul ball is the call. First base umpire Rocky Rowe was right there. Simply a strike, and the count is 1-2. And the minute that ball passes first base, it becomes the call of the first base umpire. And Rowe is right there.
See Hrbek guarding the line, which is where he's supposed to be. Just takes really about a step and a half. That's a real tough play for Rocky Rowe. His angle was not the best angle. Can't do much about that. He wants to get out of the way of the ball.
Sure.
Might have a better angle from this viewpoint.
Very close. Rowe moving away on the move. Calling it foul. The count 1-2. Little looper foul.
You talked about being shut out on Friday night, and the Yankees. This is the type of pitcher, Frank Viola, that if you do get shut out, you know you got shut out by a guy that pitched a great game. I mean, he has excellent stuff. He's used all his pitches, had great command, all of them. So you can buy that, but it's occasionally you'll get the guy that does not throw that well, that you just happen to hit line drive after line drive and don't come up with anything.
Half swing, foul tip, and it's held by Laudner. Strike 3. Strikeout number 7 for Frank Viola, and he's 1 out away now with Morocco due up.
Well, Washington's first 2 hits were on fastballs. There he just throws them to look like a cut fastball or a little slider. Just couldn't check his swing. Commits himself right there. Ball's out of the strike zone for strike 3.
Now here's a situation where they have to go with Morocco. Piniella would love to have Ron Kittle in a situation like this where he could tie the game with 1 swing, but Kittle again with that stiff neck, and that's the reason he did not DH tonight, and it's stiff enough so that he can't even pinch it. And thus Morocco hits one down the right field line, foul. 0-1. Morocco, we mentioned it before, with some power. 11 home runs in 60 some odd games at Columbus in AAA before the call up last week. And he really misses Kittle. As you look at Tom Kelly, One of Kittle's home runs this season was off Viola.
I wonder if Tom Kelly's wondering, where should we play this guy? We really don't know much about him.
So they play him almost dead straight away. Almost straight up and down.
I guess that's a percentage way to play him.
Swing and a miss.
Never been a big advocate of overshifting guys, especially if you have guys like Gladden in left, Puckett, who won a Gold Glove in center, and Bernansky, who's an above-average right fielder. Figure they're going to run the balls down in the gaps.
You can see the outfielders dead straight away, and Gaetti at third and Herbeck at first are guarding the lines.
Normally a situation where you play a couple of steps deeper. You don't want the ball over your head. And the key runner is the runner at the plate.
Little squiver to the right of the mound. Viola throws to first, and he has shut the Yankees out. And isn't that interesting that his only other victory in this ballpark came in his rookie season? It was his first major league shutout when he blanked the Yankees way back in 1982. And then he doesn't win a game here in 83, 4, 5, or 6. And the next time he picks up a W in his hometown, he shuts them out again. So Minnesota is on top alone in first place in the American League West, and the Yankee lead has been shaved to 4 over the Toronto Blue Jays in the American League East. And the youngest manager in the major leagues can celebrate tonight in the Big Apple as his team has just made it 4 consecutive victories. On top in the West are the Twins, who beat the Yanks 2-0. We'll be back.
If you buy this Celebrity Eurosport road car with gas shocks and performance radials, Chevrolet will throw in this 6-passenger family car for free.
Chevy announces summer rates as low as 3.9% financing or up to $1,000 cash back. Chevy's new summer rates on selected Chevys. See your Chevy dealer for qualification details now.
You're on the 10 o'clock American flight?
The meeting's this afternoon.
Seems like you're busier than ever. Dad, I'm glad you could stop by.
Wish I had more time. Now, when did you say you were planning on coming home again?
Not until the end of the term.
You know, I don't think I can wait that long.
When you're something special, people know it. belongs to Michelob.
Shout introduces the Stain Eraser. Shout's new scrubber bottle that helps Shout get tough stains out better than ever. Want a tough stain out? Shout it out. With the Stain Eraser.
Why do we make Future shine with tough acrylic? Because we know what your floor goes through in a day. Future with clear acrylic, the tough shine for your high-traffic floor.
3 out of 4 Indy drivers prepare their engines with a special high-performance oil treatment. Its name, STP.
STP is the racer's edge.
Where does it hurt?
Here.
For indigestion, heartburn, and gas, nobody does as much as Maalox Plus. Dose for dose, it neutralizes more than any regular strength antacid and dissolves gas. Nobody does as much as Maalox Plus.
There are the standings at the moment in the American League West. Minnesota leads Kansas City by a game. Oakland, their game getting underway just about now as they face Detroit. So they'll either be 2 back or 3 back. And the Angels tonight face Boston, so they will be 5 back or 6 back. And Seattle's position will change by a half a game as well. And the rest of the American League standings in the Eastern Division at the moment, New York over Toronto by 4. And again, the Tigers with a victory would be 4 back, 5 back with a loss. Milwaukee 8.5 back. And then Boston, Baltimore, and Cleveland. The updated standings as Minnesota defeats New York by a score of 2-0. And all of the scoring can be wrapped up in a neat little package with a bow around the top. Is in the first inning, Tom Brunansky went the other way on a drive to right field. That followed Dan Gladden's long drive to the left field wall and Kirby Puckett's drive to deep center field. Brunansky goes to right. Dave Winfield turning and twisting and going up against the fence in a futile effort. 17 home runs for Brunansky and 23 for Ken Hrbek now after this drive in the 7th inning. Hrbek's third in 3 days, and Kent the man of the hour yesterday with a 9th inning home run that defeated the Baltimore Orioles. Minnesota wins it by a score of 2-0 and will return right after this.
Hello? Need a shipping date? Yeah. Oh, hold on a second. Hello? You want research? Yo, price change?
The new IBM Personal System 2.
Research here. All trends are up.
The next generation of power, speed, and graphics.
Shipping. Be out in 10 days.
To help a company, a department,
The price on that? The price is $89.99.
or a person get their work done. Introducing the new Personal System 2 from IBM.
This is the anatomy of a whole new animal. It has a tough new frame, bigger and heavier than before. Fuel injection for the most standard power and the heaviest base payload in half-ton pickups. The 88 full-size Chevy pickup. It's a whole new animal.
The heartbeat of America. That's today's Chevy truck.
Hello. There are many ways to use the Bartles & James Premium Wine Cooler. One lady in Massachusetts even uses it to make bread. Well, Ed suggests an even better idea is to use it as a topping. For example, as a topping for ice. This is quick and easy to do and will not only improve the flavor of ice considerably, but will make it more attractive as well. So if you're tired of having your ice just plain, add some Bartles & James. We hope you appreciate this suggestion, and thank you for your support.
And our thanks to Alan Roth up here, Steve Hurt downstairs for their help tonight as the Minnesota Twins defeat the New York Yankees. The final score 2-0. Al Michaels and Jim Palmer at Yankee Stadium. Tonight's game has been produced by Kurt Gowdy Jr. and our director, Craig Janoff. Technical director, Mike Blazo, and associate director, Robert Robbie Cowan. ABC's Monday Night Baseball has been brought to you by Michelob. So exceptionally smooth, the night belongs to Michelob. By the heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet. By Electric Shave. Electric Shave does for an electric razor what lather does for a blade. And by Quaker State Motor Oil. Quaker State people reaching for the best. Be sure to join us for ABC News Nightline immediately following your late local news. Then following Nightline, ABC Sports presents Monday Sports Night. Host Al Trautwig's guests include Paul Newman, Greg LeMond, all-time Wimbledon title holder Billie Jean King, who's just back from England, and more, all following Nightline on ABC Sports. And this has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television.
A promotional fee has been paid to ABC Sports by United